Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the monthly December meeting of the Metropolitan Planning Commission for the City of Shreveport. Before we get started, for those of you who are standing around the wall, please join us in some of the vacant seats that we have here, and we'll give you time to move in and climb over or invite friends to make room for you, because we'd love to have you seated if at all possible. You'd be kind enough to do that for us, please. And if you are planning on speaking and you've not filled out a slip for whatever purpose that you're here for, the gentleman down front will have some of those at the speaker's stand. We've got a few more vacant seats, gentlemen in the back. Over here, y'all come on in. Outstanding. Thank you for your cooperation. We welcome you today, and it is customary as we begin our meetings that we have an opening, an invocation, as well as a pledge of allegiance to the flag. I'm going to ask Ms. Jackson if she'll give us a brief invocation, and we're going to ask Mr. Moss if he'll lead us in the pledge of allegiance. If you'd care to join us, please stand.
Please bow your heads if you do so, please. Father God, our Jehovah, the beginning and the ending, the one who loves us most. What I will ask of you today is to touch everybody's hearts and souls in this meeting here today, Lord. Allow those the grace and mercy that are traveling here that have not made it to their destinations as of yet, Lord. Lord, let us be a vessel for you, Lord. Let us begin and end like you would have it to begin. And these blessings we ask in your name, amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. At this particular time, I'd like to make a few opening remarks as it pertains to our operational procedures for today. First of all, once again, I'd like to say welcome to the regularly scheduled public meeting of the Shreveport-Caddo Metropolitan Planning Commission. For public hearing agenda items, if you wish to make public comments on an application, we have an MPC comment slips down front at the speaker's stand next to the podium, as I stated earlier. For future notification purposes, it's very important that you fill out a slip and drop it in the box when you come forward to speak. Please state your full name, your mailing address, and your zip code before addressing the board. We will call each case on the agenda in order and hear first from the applicant. Then those speaking in favor will have an opportunity to make a statement. 10 minutes is allocated for the principal spokesperson, and 3 minutes is allocated for each person additionally after the primary spokesperson has been up. We will then hear from those wishing to speak against an application. Again, 3 minutes are allocated for the principal spokesperson and 3 minutes for each additional speaker. So those of you who don't have a principal spokesperson, be thinking about it now so that 2 or 3 of you won't be coming at the same time, and we'll have to make sure you know which ones want to come first. One representative of the application can then speak in rebuttal if desired. After hearing comments on each case, the board will then immediately deliberate and vote on that case before moving on to the next case on our agenda. Please note that when the board is deliberating, members of the public are not permitted to make any comments. As members of the public can request copies of the board's decision on a particular case by contacting our office at 318-673-6480 after 1 p.m. on tomorrow, or by accessing our website at shreveportcaddompc.com. For consent agenda items and other agenda items not requiring a public hearing, public comments can be made upon request by filling out an MPC comment slip from the desk. If comments are requested for a specific agenda item, the chair will offer an opportunity for those comments prior to the commission taking action on the agenda item. All of the MPC Board's zoning recommendations are submitted to the City Council for a final decision. Please note that it is your responsibility to contact the appropriate governing body about procedures as related to the matter that you are concerned with. Copies of this document and the phone numbers to contact the governing bodies is available on the table next to the podium and at the entryway into this room. As a courtesy, we would please ask that you remember to silence all cell phones while in the MPC Board sessions. The Commission values your testimony and appreciates your compliance with these guidelines. This particular time, we will call for an adoption of minutes from the November 5 board meeting.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mr. Moss, second by Mr. Sater. All those in favor vote yes. Oppositions, please vote no. All right, is everyone up, please, ma'am? That's my motion carries. Thank you very much. At this particular time, as we move into our agenda items for today, we have two consent agenda items. Case number 25-12-SC, Final Plat Minor, Polaris Services. Is there anyone here to speak either for or against that particular item before we motion to carry on? Hearing none, seeing none. Board members, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I understand that this is the police department's preferred location for its substation serving the east side of town. That's correct?
I'm not familiar with that, Mr. Robertson.
Okay. Do we know if the department conducted any kind of search for appropriate locations? I'm assuming they did, because I have a concern about this one.
I'm going to be like you. I'm assuming that they did.
Okay. Well, I'm going to vote no on this because parks are not building sites. And this is a park, and it should stay a park. And I think the police department probably could have done a little more thorough job looking for vacant buildings or buildings that were for rent or for lease or for sale. It's a broad area of town they're trying to cover. That's not necessarily a bad spot, but it's a park, and it shouldn't be used as a building site. So that's just my simple comment.
All right, so thank you very much. I believe at this point, the fact that this particular case is on the consent agenda, it has been vetted upstairs with our staff prior to today. Can I assume that that's correct, gentlemen? Okay. Mr. Polaris, would you give us your name and address, please?
My name's Ricky Wood, and surveyor with Polaris Services, 3602 North Market Street, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71107. Being on the consent agenda, as you just mentioned, I didn't feel the need to speak earlier, but this is the park, and it is being subdivided into two lots. I don't have a full understanding, but part of one lot was going to be used for the police substation, and I believe some of the other lot may be used for some sort of park, smaller in scale, but I'm not sure about that. But that's how we were directed to cut it up into two lots, as shown on the map there. So I just wanted to make that statement on what little information I knew and about the reasoning behind having two lots for a police substation.
All right, sir, thank you very much. Mr. Robertson?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'm assuming nobody from the police department is here. Maybe the mayor could speak to it, I don't know, but I'm just assuming, I mean, East Shreveport's got a lot of territory and a lot of vacant buildings. Was it not possible to find someplace that wasn't a city park?
Respectfully, this is a plat. It isn't a planning decision, Mr. Robertson. And this is where we believe is the best location for this police substation, and it's under construction.
Mayor, can you speak to the effort that the department undertook to try to find locations?
We've probably looked at 20 different locations for this.
Okay, well, I appreciate that, Mayor. I got a philosophical problem here, so.
Yes, sir, and I suggested that this is the wrong forum to express that philosophical problem.
All right, at this particular time, Mayor, thank you very much, and please don't leave the room. We'll call for a motion on this particular consent agenda item. What do I hear from the board? Motion by Mr. Elverson. Second by Ms. Rose. All those in favor, please vote yes. Oppositions, vote no. All right, thank you very much. That motion carries. We have item number 7, case number 25-106-SC, preliminary plat. This is also under the consent agenda. Land development. Is there anyone present who care to speak for or against this particular item, even though it is on the consent agenda item? Yes, sir.
Good afternoon. Justin Severe, Vintage Realty, 330 Marshall Street, Suite 200. I'm here just happy to answer any questions. This is just the final approval of the second half of the master plan of this community. The original master plan was brought forth long ago, but we are now providing the individual plats that make up the rest of that. So that's where this came from. So happy to answer any questions. And this is for Lucian Field Estates in South Shreveport.
Any questions from board members? Thank you, sir. This particular time, we'll entertain a motion. Motion, Mr. Sater.
Second.
Second by Ms. Jackson. All those in favor, please vote yes. Oppositions, vote no. Second by Ms. Jackson. All right, thank you very much. At this particular time, board members, I'm requesting permission from you to allow me to invite the mayor to the podium. We would invite him to make some comments of his choosing, and then after that, we have a special deal that our secretary is going to read aloud for us after the mayor and before he leaves the podium.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much for the personal privilege of being able to do this. I have practiced law in the city of Shreveport since August of 1979. And during that time, I have almost always had some matter before you, whether as a lawyer or as a citizen. And I have also had the opportunity to work with this gentleman, Alan Clark, sometimes working with him, sometimes disagreeing with him. But I will tell you that Mr. Clark's service to this body and to this community is exemplary. And I wanted to come and give my personal regards to Mr. Clark and to you for the work that you do. Mr. Clark, you are a loyal, effective, and wonderful employee of the Metropolitan Planning Commission, and we appreciate everything that you have done. When we have agreed, we have agreed. When we have disagreed, we have done so with dignity and respect, and I very much appreciate that. Most of the time, we were able to work out whatever we needed to work out. That has also been true since I've had the privilege of being mayor. I wanted to come today and say to you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Mayor, before you leave the podium, if you'll indulge us in the reading of a document that we have up front.
Yes, sir.
If you'll stand still, and I'm
I
going to
will.
invite my secretary for this board to please read the document
Certainly.
prepared. Turn your mic.
I can stand. I have a new hip.
Awesome. So this is a resolution of the Shreveport Metropolitan Planning Commission to honor the retirement of Executive Director Alan Clark for his outstanding service and leadership. Whereas Alan Clark has faithfully served the Shreveport Caddo Metropolitan Commission for more than 4 decades, beginning his career as zoning administrator and later being appointed executive director in August 2018. And whereas as zoning administrator, Mr. Clark contributed to numerous long-range planning efforts that shape the future of the city and parish, including the Shreveport Caddo Great Expectations 2030 Master Plan, the Caddo Parish Unified Development Code, and the City of Shreveport Unified Development Code. And whereas Executive Director Mr. Clark provided visionary leadership and initiated numerous planning and regulatory innovations, including, be patient with me, he has done great work. The One Shreveport 2025 Master Plan Update, which was an update of the Great Expectations 2030 Master Plan after 15 years of adoption. Repealing of park minimums, a code text amendment that allows the market to determine the number of parking spaces needed. The creation of historic overlay district regulations, which established a functioning historic preservation commission to safeguard the character of historic neighborhoods. Modernization of the MPC website. The creation of a modern and accessible means for citizens and applicants to access information on all aspects of MPC operations. The Neighborhood Participation Program, ensuring that citizens have a meaningful voice in the planning decisions prior to public hearings. The Food Truck Licensing Program created a streamlined one-stop shop for mobile vendors. Implementation of short-term retail ordinance, working with a software company to identify and regulate vacation rental that are listing on various platforms. Development of the COVID-19 action plan to help assess businesses reopen safely and return vacant structures to productive use. The establishment of the residential mixed-use village district, which encourages innovative housing choices, walkable communities, and consideration of emerging housing types such as tiny homes. Whereas Mr. Clark also advanced the professional capacity of the MPC by creating a historic preservation website, promoting active participation in the American Planning Association, empowering staff to present directly to the MPC, ZBA, and PZC boards, and encouraging continuous research on critical issues including big box retail, payday lending, adaptive reuse of vacant public schools, overnight truck parking rental, dwelling registration, current development trends, and whereas Alan Clark brought honor to the city of Shreveport and Caddo Parish by receiving the 2020 Louisiana chapter of American Planning Association's Lifetime Achievement Award for leadership. And whereas through his long career, Mr. Clark has shown an unwavering commitment to professional excellence, to transparent and participatory planning processes, and to the improvement of the quality of life of the residents of Shreveport and Caddo-Bossier. Now therefore be it resolved by the Shreveport Metropolitan Planning Commission that the board on December 3rd, 2025, in due, regular, and legal session convened, does hereby express its deepest appreciation to Alan Clark for his decades of dedicated service and his transformative leadership as executive director, and be it further resolved that this resolution be entered into the permanent records of the commission and that a copy be presented to Mr. Clark upon his retirement with sincere gratitude and best wishes for years ahead.
Would you please join me in standing and giving Mr. Clark a warm round of applause? Mr. Clark, I believe we have a special reserved time for you if you care to choose that, or you can say whatever you want to say right now.
Real briefly, Mr. Chair, I just want to share with the citizens of the city of Shreveport what an honor it's been to be a servant in promoting planning and zoning for the city of Shreveport. It's been a wonderful experience. You don't get these kind of experiences often, but once you get them, it's, as I once shared with the city council, it's one hell of a ride, and I have enjoyed every moment of it. I've enjoyed every moment of working with this board of the MPC. With over 40 years, I've seen a lot of boards, a lot of councils, and a lot of parish commissions. And it's just been a sensational honor. And I just hope that Shreveport continues to head toward the city that it really can be. We have extremely good bones. I think our city is poised to do great and creative things. I think if we come together as a community, there's still a whole lot of planning to do, but I hope that you will participate in making Shreveport the city that we really want it to be. It's not about us, it's about you as citizens. And I'll just say one more time, thank you so much for taking out time from a little old boy from Haynesville that got an opportunity to represent planning in the city of Shreveport and the state of Louisiana. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Clark. Yes, sir, Mr. Moss?
I'd just like to say something. I started out here, I was a young gun, starting on the zoning commission, and now I'm on the MPC. I've learned a lot from you, Mr. Clark. You know, long conversations, learned a lot about the city and about zoning. And I just want to say thank you for your service, and you'll truly be missed.
All right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We'll now resume our scheduled public hearings. Item number 8, case number 25-119-C, zoning request, Machota Properties, G&J Machota Properties.
Good afternoon. Patrick Bove, 333 Texas Street, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71101. And we are seeking a rezoning to C4. We're looking to request this to a C4 location because it's the only zoning classification that realistically supports the type of commercial development we intend to build for this property. Our general plan is to clear the site and construct small commercial buildings designed for small businesses. The dependent limited secure outdoor storage is part of our plan. The quality of these buildings are going to be of equal or better quality within the area that is currently there. The uses of these buildings are normally from contractors, service providers, small equipment operators, and building material suppliers. C4, however, allows for small accessory outdoor storage where other zoning does not. An additional but equal important factor about the C4 that we are looking for is the certificate of occupancy level that we have. For certificate of occupancy reasoning, C4 allows us to have a wider range of tenant occupancy. Typically, some of these small commercial buildings have contractors, trades, logistics, service companies, small equipment, and those things get classified in C4. The C4 simply provides a really tenant flexible building for our real users in that corridor currently. Additionally, Mount Zion and Linwood Corridor is already a melting pot of zones. I'm going to hand you this one if you don't mind. So as you can see, it's a melting pot with I-1 to the west, C3 to the east, and C4 directly to our north that is adjacent to our property as well. We have intentionally placed all of our outdoor storage for this particular plat on the very northern section of this to accommodate buffers and also to put the outside storage against the C4 zone property as well. C4 zoning classified best fit this corridor mix. It evolves for nature and supports a broader tenant demand through the permitting, through the certificate of occupancies as well. I understand that the MPC staff has asked this to be denied for C4 and has suggested a C3. We understand that, and we are willing to look at potentially doing a zoning split where we take the first 175 feet facing Mount Zion to a C3, while then letting the rear half be zoned for C4. However, a full C4 designation remains the most consistent function, and market conditions show that this could be a possibility as well. This type of commercial development provides essential first steps for small business owners and growing opportunities. As these businesses expand, they contribute to the local economy through both increased employment and taxable revenue. By providing suitable, flexible commercial space, including limited outdoor storage, this development supports a tenant pool of small businesses who are actively expanding, creating jobs, and generating tax revenue. Approval of C4 for this property ensures that growth occurs in a structured, compatible, and economic beneficial way, and reinforces the corridor as a hub for small business activity. That's all I currently have for it. Does anyone have any questions?
All right, board members, any questions for Mr. Patrick at this time? All right, is there anyone else present who care to speak in favor of this request? Anyone else present who care to speak in favor of this request? Is there anyone present who care to speak in opposition to this request? Any opposition to this request? Mr. Patrick, before you leave the podium, I understand that you mentioned about the 3 would be a possibility, subject to what? Now, again, would you repeat what you said?
I'm sorry, repeat your question. I couldn't hear you.
In regards to what the staff is denying it for, recommending a possible 3, you said that you guys would consider doing that, and you named off 2 or 3 reasons why.
Yeah, so can you grab that other one back up for me? So as you can see, that road on the bottom of the page is Mount Zion. 175 feet from Mount Zion into the property, we could zone it C3, and that would then encompass the building and the parking only. And then we would zone the 108 feet from the rear of the building all the way to the northern section of the property to a C4, which would allow us then to have the outside storage that we're looking to obtain for this type of businesses that require the outside storage.
All right, sir. No questions from board members? Staff, would you, in view of what he said about the C3, is there an opportunity possibly for him to come back and present whatever his options are and see if that fits with where we go?
I think we could address this today. He's saying that he wants half of the lot, if I'm understanding correctly, rezoned to C3 and the other half to C4. Am I understanding you correctly?
That is an option. Ultimately, we would like the entire parcel to be C4, but if we were looking to make accommodations, I do believe that would be something that we would be interested in looking at, yes.
And he could do that if you're so inclined to do, with him submitting a legal description of the areas that would be C3 and C4, and your approval would be based on him doing that.
All right, board members, what's your pleasure? Motion to approve based on stipulations by Ms. McCullough.
Second.
Second by Mr. Robertson. All those in favor, please vote yes. Oppositions, vote no.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That motion approved. That motion is approved. We go to our next item on the agenda. Case number 25-124-C, zoning request, Moore and Associates.
Hey, Rob Rollins, 1324 North Hearn Avenue, Shreveport, 71107. So we're here seeking I-1 zoning. Right now, we're currently zoned C4, which will allow for a towing facility, which is what this property ultimately is going to be. But C4 has a restriction that the impound area would have to be a impermeable surface, meaning concrete or asphalt, and the owners would like to use a gravel surface. So that's why we're asking for the I-1 zoning. The owner does own 2 facilities in both Shreveport and Bossier. They use gravel on both their yards. It seems to be working fine for them. I also do want to mention that they have a 20-foot buffer on each side of the site on the east and west side, and 250-foot wooded buffer on the West 70th frontage. I went through the staff report this morning and saw that they were, I guess, suggesting denial based off the future land use map. I brought the future land use map for you guys' reference. And I also brought the current zoning maps for this area. And you can just show them one at a time. As you can see, this area already has some spot zones of industrial at the far left corner, right in this area right there. It's already a gravel parking lot, similar to what they're wanting to use. We would like y'all to, take that into consideration as well. If y'all have any questions, feel free to ask.
All right, board members, you have any questions for Mr. Ross? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Rollins. I'm reading from the staff report. It says a variance application is the more appropriate process to address development and design standards. That's a reference to the surface, the gravel surface you're looking for. Is there a reason why you declined to use the variance process?
I spoke to the staff before we applied for anything and asked them, what we could do to basically relieve the requirement. They said you could either go through a variance or rezoning, and I asked them, I said, well, what do you think we have a better chance to get? And they said the rezoning variances, they don't give those out very often.
Okay.
Mr. Balderas, was there a question? All right, anyone else have any questions for Mr. Rollins? Is there anyone present who care to speak in favor of this request? Anyone else care to speak in favor of this request? Is there anyone present who care to speak in opposition to this request? Any opposition to this request? All right, board members, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir, Mr. Robertson.
I'm not exactly sure how to structure this, but I would be willing to grant Mr. Rollins a variance instead of a rezoning, if that would accomplish the purpose that he's looking to accomplish.
Let's hear from staff as to what you're recommending so that we can get some input from them.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
That variance is not a decision this board could make regarding this type of approval, and it would have to be sent on to an application with the Zoning Board of Appeals, and then they could then address it under their privy.
Well, thank you for clearing that up, Mr. Robertson.
And Mr. Jean, how long would that take?
Generally, it's about a 6-week process.
Well, I'm more than happy to offer a motion to the board that steers the applicant to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a variance in lieu of a rezoning.
Is that in our purview at this time?
That's my motion.
I'm asking.
We're not.
What's in front of you is whether to approve or deny.
All right. It's either approve or not. That's where we are.
Or you could obviously defer and continue as well.
All right. Dr. Tebow?
I just want to be reminded, because I took my notes. It was the recommendation from staff was denial. Is that correct? Okay, I just wanted to double check.
All right. From what I understand from staff, Mr. Robertson, today we either approve it or we deny it. If your motion is to approve, please do that.
Motion to deny.
All right. We have a motion from Mr. Robertson, second by Ms. McCullough. All those in favor, please vote yes. Oppositions, vote no.
This is to
To deny,
to deny.
as recommended by the staff. All right, thank you very much, board members. We'll proceed with on our agenda. I believe the next case number is case number 25-126C, zoning request, Polaris Services, the Fortis Company.
Good afternoon. Ricky Wood, surveyor for Polaris Services, 3602 North Market Street, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71107. This site is composed of 3 tracts, which are internally composed of portions, bits and pieces of lots in a recorded subdivision. Within those 3 tracts, there are 3 different zonings. There's an I-1, an I-2, and a C3. By this request in the application, we'd like to have all 3 tracts rezoned, well, 2 tracts rezoned to I-1, which would come into line with the I-1 that exists, which is the pink one there. So the color coding, the one you can see where there's I-2 and C3 already in there. We also have plans to move forward with a re-subdivision plat to combine this all into one lot. There's a dedicated drainage feature. It's dedicated much like a road would be dedicated. So we will follow the recommended procedures to have that portion abandoned and then granted as a drainage servitude as it crosses the lot on the subdivision plat. You have a copy of the plat? So this area, that area there by the previous original subdivision plat was a drainage dedication. Said it carried much the same weight as a street dedication. City of Shreveport is the owner, so we would go through the process of having that abandoned just within those lots, and then on the subdivision plat, grant it as a drainage servitude or easement. The zoning seeking I-1 would satisfy the needs of the owners that would wish to develop this, and any future buildings would be handled like a site plan and go through approvals that way. Be happy to answer any other questions.
Any questions for Mr. Woods? Board members? All right, thank you very much, sir. Anyone else present who care to speak in favor of this request? Anyone else present who care to speak in favor of this request? Is there anyone present who care to speak in opposition to this request? Any opposition to this request? Board members, what's your pleasure?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Balderas, second by Ms. Jackson. All those in favor vote yes. Oppositions vote no. All right, the motion carries. Thank you very much. This particular time, we'll move to item 11, case number 24-213-C, special use permit and site plan. All tower groups, take 5. Spokesperson, please step forward.
Good afternoon, members of the commission. Jeff Westmoreland at Wiener Weiss and Madison, 330 Marshall Street, Suite 1000, Shreveport, 71101. Before my time starts, I just want to quickly echo the sentiments of our mayor, Mr. Clark. I've worked with Mr. Clark for a long time and has done an incredible job, and I will be very sad to see him go, and I know a lot of people will. We represent the landowner, Lucky Land Company LLC, as well as technically the applicant. The applicant was Altar Group, the architect, but the applicant is Driven Brands, doing business as Take 5 Oil Change. We appreciate the commission's continued deferments on this matter until we could get all information in. I know that we've been waiting a long time. As noted in the MPC staff report dated December 3rd, this application meets all the requirements of UDC 16.3.1 and its subparts. Before we get into some of the issues raised by council, I did want to provide some information on the use of the property. This is a graph prepared statistically by Take 1 Oil Change, and it shows the cars per hour use for the average location. You'll see that 8 and 9 o'clock and 4 and 5 p.m. rush hour, the car use per hour is low, 1 to 2 to 4. Peak hours are 11 a.m. and 3 p.m., only 6 to 7 cars per hour during those types of days. So we're talking about a very limited car count. Staff is quite limited. There are no repairs done on site, so we will not have any noise issues. There's no mechanic work done on site. All liquids are taken off site, so no liquids are stored in containers, underground containers, or anything of that nature. So we're talking about very little traffic, very little density, and impact on the area. The application meets the standards of UDC 16.3.1. And that's been set out in excellent detail by the MPC staff report. My commendations to them for having really gone through this. But as you can see from the staff report, they go through it section by section, indicating how the application meets the UDC. Forbin Bluff has filed an opposition and a reply in this matter, Forbin Bluff Timber. Their letter filed on 12/2, I don't know if the commission has that, but indicated that the applicant doesn't have approval to use the old Flournoy Lucas Road. I'm going to step over here, and it's this, and y'all are familiar with this because we've been through it many times. It's this road that runs essentially behind the property. There are only two entities that have rights or control over that, what I'm going to call the old Flournoy Lucas Road, and that's the city and DOTD. We've received the permit from DOTD with no objection to utilizing that road as our entrance. DOTD has rights because it's within the control of access of 3132, and they had to approve it, and they did. That permit has been filed with the MPC staff. The permit looks different than the one that Mr. Sinclair attached to his letter because the permit process has changed since 2019, and the permit looks different and has different language. But this is the only permit that we will get from DOTD. There is no other permit required, nor will they issue any other type of permit, and our engineers are going to confirm that here in a minute. And then the city. The city owns and controls this right-of-way. And it is through this process and through the UDC that the city actually grants us the right to use this old road as the entrance to this site. So these alleged legal obstacles about we don't have any rights in the road, we aren't the owners of the road, the parties that have the rights, one has granted the right to use it, the DOTD, and we are seeking the right to use it through the city, through the MPC. I also want to note, and this letter is dated August 14th, 2019, to Rob Rollins of Moore & Associates from the then Assistant City Engineer Matthew Redmond, when this was previously approved, and the city and the engineering department approved the driveway and the drainage improvements for this site. Again, the city has previously approved use of this old road, and it controls this right-of-way. I would like my two documents to please be placed in the record with the clerk as part of the record in this matter. The other arguments by Forbin Bluff are that our use violates Louisiana Constitution. At page 2 of our letter that we filed, we showed that this is not the case. This is not a donation. It's not an alienation. It's not a conveyance of public property. It is a permitted use. And again, I go back to the point that the DOTD has approved it, and we are seeking that the city approve it. Forbing Bluff also argues that the use here violates the dedication by Hiram Forbing of this road long ago. On page 3 of our letter, we cite the Webb case, and it shows that this kind of language is just boilerplate and is used. The court indicates this is not a building restriction. Courts do not interpret this as a building restriction. And so our position is there are no legal impediments at this point. We have the right to use a road, or we're seeking it from the city, and it does not violate the Louisiana Constitution, nor does it violate the right-of-way instrument. I will say, though, that to the extent there are quote-unquote legal issues, and you're going to hear that from me, and you're going to hear it from Mr. Sinclair and possibly Mr. Machota, with all due respect, that would be decided by a court of law on appeal, okay? Our position, again, is you as a board look at the UDC and the staff, and do we meet it? We believe we have, and so we believe approval of the application is appropriate at this point. What happens in a court of law later is, again, to be determined by a court if we get there. I'll also note that Forbing Bluff's opposition, or reply filed on 12/2, does not dispute our position on Louisiana Constitution violation, nor does it dispute our position on the alleged violation of the right-of-way language. So in that respect, we believe they concede on those points, and they just, again, allude that we don't have the right to use this road, which we disagree with. So in conclusion, we meet the UDC, an applicable statute here. The MPC staff has gone through pains to provide the layout for how we meet that. And again, we don't believe at this point there are any legal impediments to this application, and we ask that it be approved. And so I'll take any questions.
All right, board members, any questions for Mr. Westmoreland? Ms. McCullough? Turn your mic on, please.
When we met with administration, there's been some controversy with this particular case number. And seems like administration had recommended approval with stipulations and conditions. So I've listened to you, and I'm asking my co-commissioners if what he's presented, you feel like he's met those stipulations.
Well, let me also supplement there. We're asking for approval of the application with the stipulations as set forth by staff. We can live with those stipulations, and I should have been more clear on that. The stipulations on the second to last page by staff, there are 5 of them. We seek approval with those stipulations.
That being said, I move to
Very
approve
good.
with stipulations
All right.
presented by administration.
We need to see if we've got anyone else care to speak in favor. Hold your thought. All right, sir, thank you very much.
Thank you,
Is
Commissioner.
there anyone else present who care to speak in favor of this request? Anyone else present who care to speak in favor of this request? Is there anyone present who care to speak in opposition to this request? First spokesperson gets 10 minutes, and the second person gets 3. Okay, just give it to that gentleman. Thank you, I apologize.
John Linton with Alter Group. I'm the lead architect from Houston, Texas, address 10109 Louetta Road. Just here today just to show support. I've been part of public meetings with at hotels to try to talk through different concerns of the public in the area there, and feel like as the designer of the project and representative for Take 5, we've done just about everything we can to try to address concerns and worries, from concerns about the noise to concerns about traffic. And I think if we can look at this real quick, it's a packet that I reduced down from that initial meeting, but the real big thing, go to the next page. We started out, of course, with the standard Take 5 corporate image here. We've heard what was said to us in those initial public meetings, and we've adjusted. I know Chris was present at most of those, and so we've taken those things into account with this last design here. We've reduced to a 2-bay. You can go to the next page. We've increased the amount of landscaping. We've done lots of iterations to try our best to fit within the fabric of the city with the adjacent neighborhood and just some of the additional commercial spaces around here. So again, if you keep going on that one. These are sort of some of the last iterations of elevations. We've tried to go back and soften with materials. We've used brick. We've used pitched roofs and things like that, which are all not standard Take 5 items, but again, are doing our best to address what was the concerns from the public on this, and feel like we've been able to achieve that. So, flip to the next one. And just again, Take 5. These images right here are just some standard ones. You can see this is a corporate image, so this is what we've come from to where we are now in those renderings. And as you can see, these are just 3 sites that I found around, and they're clean site, clean operation. So again, we think it's a great fit for this corner again, but we're obviously having just opinions. So, any questions?
All right, any questions for Mr. Jonathan? Board members? All right, so thank you very much. Is there anyone else present who care to speak in favor of this request? Anyone else care to speak in favor?
Rob Rollins, 1324 North Hearn Avenue, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71107. I'm the engineer that worked on this project to get it approved by the state. We've had this project approved by DOTD twice now. I know there's also a traffic study requested. We did hire a traffic engineer, and he did determine that the level of service of Flournoy Lucas and Ellerby Road wouldn't be affected by this development. Just here to answer any technical questions if you have them.
Board members, any questions for Mr. Rawlins? All right, sir, thank you very much. Anyone else present who'd care to speak in favor of this request? Anyone else present care to speak in favor? All right, hearing none. Anybody present who care to speak in opposition?
Yes, sir. Thank you. I'm Scott Sinclair, 401 Edward Street, Suite 1905, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71101. I'm here on behalf of Forbing Bluff Timber Company, and they do oppose this application. The primary reason for the opposition is because Lucky Land, the applicant, does not have ownership or control of the sole means of access to this property. This is their site plan, and their property line ends where the pink track begins. It's hard to see on this, but there's a blue property line that goes around their property, and that's what they're trying to submit to this commission. In order to get to their property, they have to go through that pink tract. They do not own the pink tract. They do not control the pink tract. And those requirements are essential for initiating this process, not ending this process. They have to come to this commission with either ownership or control over the property that they're trying to turn into a special use. Obviously, if you're going to have an oil change service, cars have to be able to get to your tract. You wouldn't consider this application at all if they showed it to you without the pink tract on there, without that driveway, because you would ask the question, how are you going to get to this property? And their answer would be, we don't know. Do you have the right to get to this property? Their answer would be, we don't know. Who owns this property? Today, their answer is, we don't know. They say that the DOTD has jurisdiction over it because it's close to that intersection, and they say that the city of Shreveport has an easement on it. That's not ownership. That's an easement. But Lucky Land, and the only thing that you should care about is whether Lucky Land has ownership or control over the pink tract. And if they don't, you don't have a complete application that you can even consider. This is out of 16-3 in the UDC, the special use permit, and that's what you're proceeding under today. And the critical language, this is to initiate this process. To initiate this process, a property owner or a person expressly authorized in writing by the property owner may file an application. The last sentence says a property owner may only propose a special use for property under his or her control. So the questions, and by the way, I'll agree with Mr. Westmoreland. There are issues about the Constitution, about the easement, about the contractual rights that all will need to be decided by the court. And I am not asking any of you to consider those issues. But I am asking you to consider the things that are part of your rules. And part of your rules are that someone, in order to initiate this process, has to either come in and give you a deed and says, I'm the owner of this property. The other thing they can do is they can walk in and give you a written authorization that says this person is the owner of that pink tract, and they have authorized me to use it in connection with my project. And they don't have either of those two things. And without those two things, they have to start over. This is another part of 16.3, and it talks about the things that have to be considered in order to grant a special use. And this is the list of those things. And by the way, the staff recommendation goes through each one of those things. But item number 5 is one of the things that you have to consider is the existing and proposed vehicular and pedestrian circulation systems, including streets and all points of vehicular entrance and exit. For purposes of what you have in front of you, you can carve off that pink tract because it's not in front of you. The owner of that property is not in front of you, and they don't have permission to use it. So you don't have the ability to consider fully the circulation on this property. You don't have the ability to consider the access to this project because the owner of that property is not in front of you today. Another aspect of this is 16-8. In order to get a special use permit, the other thing that's required is to get a site plan approval. And that's part of it's part of your agenda. They're here for a special use permit and a site plan approval. The staff report does not only refers to section 16-3, which is the special use permit process. It does not discuss any of the requirements that are involved in the site plan review. Those are contained in 16-8 of the UDC. And it gets a little complicated. In a lot of instances, the executive director can handle and issue the site plan approvals. He does the preliminary and he does the final. In a special exception or special use scenario, this body has control over that and sole control over that. The UDC said we're not going to allow the executive director to deal with site plans when we have a special use permit. We're going to require the MPC to do that. And so in order to do that, you have to have everything in front of you that's required for you to review. This is part of 16.8. You can see all special uses require site plan review by the Metropolitan Planning Commission, not the executive director. These are some of the criteria that have to be considered in a site plan review. Number 2 talks about the location, arrangement, size, design, general site compatibility of structures, lighting, and signs. One of the proposed stipulations is to kick back to the executive director the lighting plan. You'll see stipulation number 2 talks about a photometric plan being approved by the executive director. The executive director does not have the authority to do that. Only you have the authority to do that, and you have not seen a photometric plan, which is a lighting plan for the project. Number 3 talks about landscaping. One of the things that you have to consider is the landscaping for this project. No landscaping plan has been submitted. That's clear from the staff report. Stipulation number 1 is to kick that back to the executive director and provide as a stipulation that he must approve the landscaping plan. You don't have one yet. That can't be done. The MPC has to consider and approve this as part of the site plan approval. Another aspect of the site plan approval is the checklist and the content requirements that are required to be submitted. Ownership is critical to all parts of what you do. So one of the things that someone on a site plan approval is required to do is submit evidence and proof, documentary evidence, that they own the property. An owner of real property is someone who has a legal or equitable interest in the property. Proving ownership interest in property requires providing documentation. You should have a deed from Lucky Land to the property that they're dealing with. You should have a deed or some kind of written authorization for the pink tract, and you don't have that. As I said earlier, the pink tract is obviously critical to this project. You can't do oil changes if cars can't get there, and no one here today on behalf of the applicant can tell you how a car is going to get to that tract because they don't have the right to do it. Go back to section 16.3 B, and really all of the legal issues are not issues for you to deal with, but what is an issue for you to deal with are these questions. Do I have an applicant who has proven to me that they own the pink tract? The answer to that is no. Do I have an applicant before me who has proven to me with a document saying that I have written authorization from the owner of the pink tract to use it? The answer to that is no. You don't have a landscaping plan, and you don't have a photometric plan. Unfortunately, you're just not in a position with a complete application to proceed with this, and we think you should deny it.
Well, Mr. Scott, thank you. Before you leave the microphone, board members, do you have any questions for Mr. Scott?
Is it for Mr. Scott or just general questions?
All right. While he's at the microphone, does it relates to?
It does relate to his presentation.
Okay.
But it aligns back to staff administration.
Got you. Go right ahead.
So that's, okay. So I think what I'd like to hear is clarity, because Mr. Scott, in his 10-minute talk, has really questioned the processes utilized by Mr. Clark's staff. That's what I'm hearing. He was very specific in his highlighted areas of what had not been done process-wise. So I would like an opportunity for Mr. Clark or a staff member, because we've been working on this case since February, and if he didn't own something, I'm quite sure we should have known that a long time ago. So can someone from staff give us some information, fill in a gap?
We got our direction, Dr. Tebow, from another lawyer, an assistant city attorney, and I'll yield to Tanner to give you the answers to those questions.
I don't have a microphone, so I'll try to speak up if you can hear me. Our office has reviewed the letters submitted by Mr. Sinclair and Mr. Westmoreland. We believe that the appropriate owner is before you today for the application before you, and that any dispute as it relates to that pink tract of land is not appropriate for this body or this venue at this time. It should be handled at the appropriate venue, and that the only factors that should guide you are under Article 16 of the UDC under those 12 approval standards, and those are the only things that should guide your decision here today. Does that answer your question?
All right. Are there any other questions from board members? Please turn your mic on.
I didn't hear you. You said, could you repeat that again, please?
We believe that the appropriate owner is before you today as it relates to ownership of what is before you for a site or for the special use permit, which is Lucky and Take 5. That pink tract is not involved in that application before you today, is our view. That is something for another venue As they have indicated, there may be something that needs to be ruled on by a judge at district court, but the only factors you should be guided by are under Article 16, those 12 approval standards, and that is the only thing you should consider in your decision today, as that is the only thing you should be considering under the UDC. Is that clear?
All right. Does that work?
Yeah, I'm
Mr.
clear
Elverson?
now.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that page 22 of the application that's in our package has a proposed landscape plan.
Thank you very much. We heard a lot about it upstairs today. Any other board members, any other comments? All right, is there anyone else present who care to speak in opposition to this request? Anyone else present who care to speak in opposition to this request? All right, seeing none, hearing none, applicant has an opportunity for a rebuttal if you choose to make any comments at this particular time. Otherwise, we will be prepared to move forward.
Just real briefly, I appreciate everybody's time on this matter. Mr. Sinclair talks about control of the pink track, and the parties that have control, I reiterate, are the DOTD and the City of Shreveport. The DOTD has already relinquished its approval to the applicant, and we're asking the board here on behalf of the city to do the same approval. So the ordinance talks about ownership or control, but then he wants to focus only on ownership. It is also control, and right now, the parties that control have the ability to approve or have already approved that. To the extent that lighting plan, landscape plan, and submittals of that, I would say just trying to throw up roadblocks to an approval on this, and to the extent that needs to be addressed by this board, those issues could be deferred and could be done by this board if that's necessary. That's a procedural matter I would let staff and Mr. Clark weigh in on. But again, I agree with the Assistant City Attorney. I think your factors are UDC Section 16 and that we are the proper owner or controller of in accordance with the applicable provisions.
Thank you, Mr. Westmoreland. Any questions for this gentleman? All right. Is there anyone else to speak in opposite? Well, this is rebuttal. At this particular time, board members, motion by Mr. McCullough.
Second.
Second by Mr. Moss. All those in favor vote yes. Oppositions vote no, please. That motion carries. Thank you very much, gentlemen. This particular time, we'll move to item number 12, case number 25-127C, special use and site plan. This is with Brolier Engineering. Your spokesperson, please come forward.
Good afternoon, Commission. Matthias Albert, 2600 Network Boulevard, Suite 310, zip code 75034.
And your name again, please?
Matthias Albert. I'm here as the applicant. Pleasure to be in front of you, Chairman and Commission. Mr. Clark, congratulations again. Wishing you a happy and healthy retirement. We're here with an SUP application for data center use. As before you in the staff packet, do want to take a second to acknowledge the MPC staff, Stephen, Jean, and Emily have been great to work with. Very responsive, very professional, and it has been a good experience. I also think that it's a good sign for Shreveport and the MPC to see the public attendance here today, just acknowledging that as a public hearing process that is working as designed, and I think that's a good sign to see for the community and for this commission. So we're before you with a special use application. Just recapping for your pleasure of how we got here today. We made a submission to the MPC for a pre-application conference on September 11th. We held that conference on September 25th. From there, we had a initial submittal of the SUP application. We held a community meeting on November 13th with the community. There were 14 total participants that showed up for that community meeting. We received MPC staff review comments at the end of October. The design team addressed and resubmitted those November 14th, and we provided community meeting responses to MPC staff November 18th. There's zoning signs that were issued on the property as well. So just wanted to recap how we got here and the steps that we've taken so far. So again, why are we here? There was a previous PUD that was approved in 2016 on this property that created an industrial park, hence the name of the project, Resilient Technology Park. That's where a lot of that was rooted in. That initial PUD essentially created I-1, which is light industrial uses for this property. I-1 uses include light manufacturing, fabrication, processing, distribution, and warehouse type uses in that I-1 district. Within that approved PUD, it does allow data center uses by special use permit, hence why we're here today. Per the UDC, grateful for other SUPs already on this agenda. You guys are familiar with those criteria in the SUP. That code section has been referenced several times. And again, as previously stated with the other cases, the staff report does a great job of outlining each of those conditions and how they apply to this exact application. In our opinion, we meet those 12 conditions for SUP consideration. On top of that, we're not seeking any additional variances or other nonconformities with this application before you. And in some cases, we're actually exceeding the base criteria for zoning requirements. With a successful SUP approval here tonight and a successful tenant in place, basically that would create a successful zoning that would follow similar to commercial, residential, industrial uses. Zoning would have been in place, and that allows the rest of the development and permit process to continue through the city process. Why this property in particular? We understand that there are other pieces of property potentially in the city, but really when we started analyzing this, this property already has industrial zoning in place. It's made for these types of uses that are typically bigger footprints and those types of uses. That makes sense. The other piece is infrastructure availability is in the area and available for development to occur at this location. So data centers as a whole, basically these are large buildings that house servers, equipment, a lot of the cloud processing that continues to grow in our society. These are facilities that house that equipment. Basically, it supports most of the functions that are in your cell phones that are in your pockets right now. Uses such as Uber Eats, social media, et cetera. Probably a lot of the technology that's allowing us to host this meeting and stream it. A lot of that cloud processing, that's what these types of facilities house and generate and allow us to operate as a society. So basically, some specifics will vary as end users are put into place, but a campus of this size that's before you, this likely would generate between 300 and 700 megawatts of power. That's likely the power demand. We do have a SWEPCO representative here that can speak to more of those grid capabilities. But oftentimes with these types of campuses and facilities, we're bringing additional infrastructure or improving the existing infrastructure in order to support that power demand on site. And oftentimes that improves the current infrastructure and conditions for the community. Similar for wet utilities, water and wastewater, we have met with the city staff. Mr. Brandon Sneed is available here as well, basically to confirm that there is availability of utilities in the area. We are aware that there was likely some upgrades that need to occur, and similarly to the power, those upgrades should improve existing conditions and facilities for the community. There was an item that came up in the neighborhood meeting about noise. These buildings will have HVAC equipment, just like any other industrial or commercial use. That HVAC equipment will create some minor noise. This site is located right on I-20. There is ambient noise from the highway. It's not going to create any nuisance. In fact, the city and parish have noise ordinances that are in place that this facility would comply with. Traffic was another item that did come up during the neighborhood community meeting. The ultimate traffic here is expected to be less than the industrial uses that are in the PUD that are approved uses. The facility and the buildings may be large, but you're generating a few dozen vehicles per building per shift. There's generally 2 to 4 shifts for a campus of this size to be expected. We are also extending industrial loop on the eastern boundary of the project, and that will be extended, which should also improve traffic conditions. Why data centers? Some of the advantage is this is an undeveloped parcel. A development of this size should be and is exciting for the city. This is a roughly 250, 260 acre tract that's before you. A development of this size should be fun and exciting and a great achievement for the city. There's additional taxing revenue that comes from that, obviously development of this scale, from the construction industry through the actual property values itself. That additional revenue goes back into the schools, infrastructure, et cetera, for the community. We talked about some of the jobs that could also be generated here. You're looking roughly 150 to 200 jobs for this campus that would be generated. We do have North Louisiana Economic Partnership available today to speak to some of the other economic benefits of a campus of this size and facility. We understand and respect the process of public hearing. I see we have a full house here today, but we do have those representatives from SWEPCO, city staff, and LEP available to speak more if necessary. We're excited that the MPC staff treats our application as a favorable warrant for approval, but also that the application mitigates the use before you. We respect your approval. I thank you for your time. And again, I'm available for any questions should they be necessary.
Board members, any questions for Mr. Howard before we bring up the other individuals he alluded to that want to speak to this particular application at this time? Ms. Jackson?
I'm sorry, what was your name again?
Matthias.
But nice, okay. What I was looking at on the screen was the MPP meeting, there were 14 in attendance?
Yes, ma'am.
14. Okay, do you have any consideration of getting another meeting, maybe for having the residents to have the opportunity to, because I'm all about transparency, I'm just being honest.
Sure.
And if it's something that I don't understand or I don't know about that's coming in my neighborhood, I would want to know exactly what's going on and what's going to happen. So is there maybe a reason why you won't have another one?
We followed the standard process on that with 14 individuals. And the conversations that took place, we did generate responses to some of those questions and topics that came out of that. And we know that that's been published. So at that time, due to the 14 participants and the clarity we were able to give in a smaller setting where we were able to have more personal interaction, at that time, it wasn't necessarily considered to have any additional meetings.
Okay.
At this particular time, any more questions for Mr. Matthias?
I just wanted to echo Jackson, because we received a lot of calls from the community about this project, and just 14 people being in attendance. And I know you followed the rules and regulations, but if you could have any kind of consideration, this room is packed with people that need answers. And me as a member of this horseshoe, that's going to really affect the way I vote, you know. I just want to say that because we try to be fair here, and you're bringing a big establishment to this city. And let me say this: I know it's going to bring jobs, and that's the main thing. Bring jobs. I did my research on other companies and others we have here in Louisiana. It's bringing jobs, and that's a big thing. But at what cost is it going to bring the jobs? So I think that's what some of these people out here really want to know, because they've been calling me all week about it. Of course, when I read the report, and I do my own research on things, and I said, hey, this would be a great thing for Shreveport. But then you have to look at the other side of it also. And I think today is a time for these folks to, you know, I'm sure they're going to be heard. But I just, in echoes of Ms. Jackson, if you could consider just doing another meeting, because these people really don't understand what's really at place here and what's going to happen. It's almost like it's being driven down their throat. That's all I want to say.
And I'm happy to address as many of those concerns or questions while we're all here today. Thank you.
Any more questions from board members? Yes, ma'am.
In reference to jobs, admin presented to us today that there would be over 800 parking lots, each building 400,000 square feet. In reference to bringing jobs, what are we looking at?
Yes, ma'am.
2,800 acres.
260.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
That's
what
okay,
are we looking? What are we looking at?
Yeah, for a
Job-wise.
facility of this scale and size, you're looking anywhere between 150 to 200 plus jobs. There are more parking spaces on site, and some of that is just knowing that there are multiple shifts per day and overlaps in shifts and things like that. But there's also other codes and things in place that we're complying with those 800 spaces. So it is a little bit excessive per the number of jobs that will be created. Yes, ma'am.
So you say up to 100 jobs?
It ranges based on the final tenant selection, but that can range from 150 to 200.
100 jobs.
We do have NLEP here too that can probably speak to more of that.
All right. If there are no more questions, then we'd like to take a pause and invite someone from the city as it relates to the water department, SWEPCO, and I believe there was one other entity that was invited to share some information with us to help enlighten us on a lot of the questions that have been asked and concerns that Mr. Moss and I and a whole bunch of us have been getting phone calls about. State your name and
Good
address.
afternoon. Brandon Sneed, Director of Water and Sewer, Shreveport. Before I start, if you wouldn't mind, Mr. Clark, it's been a pleasure working with you. Congratulations. I've really enjoyed it. Yes, sir. How can I help?
Tell us a little bit about some of the concerns as it relates to the consumption of water, possibly for this particular case that's before us today.
Sure. Early on, we just like any business that comes into town, we are given parameters. And what we do is we look at the utilities and the available water and sewerage needs for that particular area, whatever the land may be. And what we do is we run it through our water and sewer model. And by doing that, not only do we have more than enough capacity for the city and the West Shreveport pressure zone, based on their needs, we can more than handle that. And so we have no issue with it.
All right. Mr. Sneed, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Board members, any questions for Mr. Sneed? He's representing the Water and Sewer Department for the city.
Yeah.
Dr. Tebow?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'd like for you to elaborate just a little bit more on that, since we get an inch of rain and the city floods. So I need just a little bit more information on the impact of that infrastructure in West Shreveport, for which I live in. So when the wind blows, the electric goes out. I'm quite aware of that. I need just a little bit more sounded, data-driven.
Well, the drainage is not my purview.
Just if you could just
Right,
go on the
just water and
drainage, because
sewer.
we flood pretty bad there.
Right, that's drainage. That's not, I have
That's
nothing
not
to,
you.
that is not,
Okay.
we're not a combined system. Sewer does not handle drainage. So, but on the water and sewer side, that area, you got to remember back in the day when it was built mainly for the GM plant, that area was oversized. A lot of the equipment and the infrastructure are oversized. So we can more than handle that. Not only from the treatment plant itself, we have more than enough capacity there, but we also do in the west pressure zone. So the sewer and water issue there is not, there's not going to be an issue based on the needs that were presented in front of us. Not to mention, as Matthias said, that some of the infrastructure upgrades will come on the back end with whatever business that comes to that area. So that's a benefit.
All righty. So when we're looking at a large item like this, you know, to be done, we always look at the pros and the cons.
Sure.
Right? So today it sounds like you're just talking, if everything goes perfect, then we're good. Let's talk about the imperfections. If it does not go well, are you still confident that the water pressure, blah, blah, blah,
Yes.
everything is going to go well?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Any questions for Mr. Sneed from anyone else? Mr. Robertson?
Thank you, Mr. Sneed.
Yes, sir.
Can you put this plant into some kind of context? For example, the average daily demand that the Department of Water and Sewer has to meet currently for water service versus what this plant's going to require?
You're talking about in the totality as the city, like the plant itself? Well, it depends on time of year and time of day. But say this time of year, we average around 25 to 30 million gallons per day. And so, but our plant is rated for upwards of 80 million gallons per day. So you see the capacity there. Even during the summertime, we see 50, 60, maybe 70, depending on a drought, but that's on short durations. So the capacity is there at the plant. And the West Shreveport pressure zone, again, has more than enough capacity there as well. So, and then what their needs are, I don't have it in front of me, but if it's several million gallon several million gallons per day that they're needing, we have more than enough availability to provide that for them.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Board members, any more questions for Mr. Sneed? All right, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate being here.
Are there two more guys? SWEPCO?
Good afternoon, board members, Chairman Andrews, Michael Corbin, SWEPCO. And we're here today to support staff's recommendation for the special use permit for Resilient Technology Park. We think this will, when a client is landed and put in here at some point in the future, that's going to be good for Shreveport and good for all of us.
I'm going to open it up for questions from board members. Would you comment about a facility not far from this potential installation that's the SWEPCO?
We have made a significant investment in Resilient Technology Park. We have built what we refer to as a transmission control center in the northwest corner of this property. And construction of that property led to infrastructure being put into place to support our building, which makes this entire park very prime for technology-based businesses.
All right, sir. Any questions from board members at this time? Mr. Robertson?
Thank you, Mr. Corbin. A friend of mine who took an interest in this case sent me a report that he downloaded from artificial intelligence. And there are several things that are in the report that I find kind of interesting and I'd like to ask you about, primarily on the environmental side. One of the report points says that approximately 40% of U.S. data center electricity comes from carbon-free sources. What do you think about this data center and where the power is going to come from?
Like our entire customer base, we're going to supply needed power and through whatever generation methods are required to supply the power to new businesses come into our area as well as our established customer base.
This report also talks about on-site solar. There's going to be a lot of rooftop space here. Do you anticipate any kind of solar on top of this facility?
That would not be a SWEPCO decision, that would be a customer decision.
And I believe Mr. Hobart mentioned upgrades to energy and water facilities. What upgrades do you anticipate that SWEPCO will be obligated to make?
Yes, SWEPCO looks every day at our system, our grid, our larger company, and our service area. So we have a lot of things in the works that we can be moving toward as load increases. Again, there's not a named project here. There's not a client at this point. So we're just providing services in the background to support our economic development friends, to be sure that if and when something moves forward, we're ready to go.
The staff report mentions a substation. That would be the kind of upgrade I was asking about.
There's a substation on site for the Transmission Control Center currently, and it's not uncommon for any large economic development project to require a new substation.
Can you say with confidence that any upgrades that will be required here will be paid for by the developer and not the other 200,000 customers of SWEPCO in Louisiana?
I believe it's premature to say anything about that until we have a customer and we have some details.
Oh, okay, hold on a minute. I don't know if everybody heard your answer, so.
Well, no, I'll be glad to say it again. And
Yeah.
because we're a bit premature talking about new energy plants, new this, new that, until we have a defined customer, we know what the load is, and we know how we're going to address that. That's what we do on a daily basis, and as you well know, that will also require us, if we do certain things, go into the Public Service Commission, who is our regulator and our approver for additional assets.
And typically, the Public Service Commission would obligate the utility to get the money from the applicant rather than from all the other customers.
The Public Service Commission has done a good job of protecting the customer.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Colvin from board members? All right, hearing none. Yes, sir. Please come forward.
Hello, Justin Dixon, North Louisiana Economic Partnership. I appreciate you having me here today. Before I get started, Mr. Clark, we've been really enjoyed working with you, and I know these past 4 weeks have been better for you since you're a Cowboys fan than they were earlier in the year. So, like I said, I'm with North Louisiana Economic Partnership. We're the regional economic development group in the area. Our main mission is to recruit jobs and capital investment for the citizens of Northwest Louisiana. Since I've been here the past 4.5 years, we've been involved in projects like the AEP Control Center, like the Amazon Fulfillment Center, which currently employs about 2,500 people from Northwest Louisiana. SLB, which we put in the old GM facility, which mostly sat empty for 12 years, now has over 650 employees. Fiber Bond Expansion, which has 1,000 employees in Northwest Louisiana. And Prolec GE, which we've increased by 275 jobs since we've been here. I have visited these data centers. I've been on there. There are lots of jobs. There are hundreds of jobs, and these are well-paying jobs. I believe if you'll look into the Meta deal that was done over the Northeast, I think they committed to paying 150% of the Paris average. Here in Caddo Parish, that's about $54,000, so you're looking at $75,000 to $85,000 a year jobs. These jobs can be had with 2-year certifications and/or diplomas that can be taught at our local community colleges. So these will be people from our area getting these jobs. As a matter of fact, there's a company called Genovis, which is a business consulting company, that looked into the Meta project. And what they found out is that 95% of those jobs are going to be filled by people in the region. And that's what we're excited about. Significant investment, we're talking billions. That is going to provide tax revenue that we will be able to utilize to make for better utilities, better schools, better roads, and better quality of life. Additionally, significant revenue from the sale of water. As Mr. Sneed said, we don't have a water problem. We've got lots of water. We've got a revenue problem. We need to sell some water. And this is going to allow us to get millions of dollars to make our system better. Additionally, the same thing would follow with wastewater. We know we're under a consent decree because of the wastewater, not because of the water, because of the wastewater. But if we can sell water and we can utilize wastewater, we can generate revenue to make the system better for the people of Northwest Louisiana. Additionally, in a lot of these situations, and you can look in the Meta deal, Meta paid for the upgrades to the utilities, the water, the power. You know, I'm only been here 4.5 years, but I've read, y'all have lived it. But I know we've had a significant decline in population over the 20 to 30 years. The cost to run these utilities has gone up. The revenue to take care of that cost has gone down. We've got to find something that we can bring in here to help with that revenue. That's all I've got at this point. I know I'm running out of time, but I'll answer any questions.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, do we have any questions for Mr. Dixon? Board members?
Yes, Mr. Dixon, well, I have you up here. This isn't particularly pertinent to this land use issue that's in front of us, but you deal with bringing businesses to our community day in, day out, your staff. Y'all do a great job. Just put this project in perspective with some of the other things that you've worked on and that you mentioned, just the magnitude of what this could mean to our region.
Yeah, so if there were to be a project to come in here and utilize this, you're talking substantial construction jobs. Those construction people use hotels, they use apartments, they use restaurants, lots of restaurants. Significant tax dollars, once again, building up revenue so we can make things better for the people of Northwest Louisiana. One of the cases that I've seen in Georgia where there are many of the data centers, Georgia Power, which is the AEP SWEPCO over there, has recently put a moratorium on increases themselves of power rates for the next 3 years until 2028 because they have big users that are paying big dollars for the power, and they don't have to pass that on to the customers to take care of an aging system. it would be substantial. It would be the biggest thing to hit this area in a while, if not ever. And then one more thing I want to talk about that on the piggyback, if you don't mind. The companies I mentioned, SLB, we know them as Schlumberger, but they make digital equipment and infrastructure for data centers at the GM facility, hiring over 650 people. Fiberbond, they make power units for data centers. Prolec GE, transformers with data centers. These people are already hiring in our area. If we were to be fortunate enough to get one of these companies are probably going to be hiring more people as well. And we could have a trickle effect that would be fantastic.
Thank you.
Any more questions from board members at this time? Well, gentlemen, thank you very much. Is
Thank
there
you.
anybody else, any other persons present who care to speak in favor of this application? Anyone else present? Yes, sir.
Hello, I'm Mike Busada. I'm an attorney, Butler Snow Law Firm. I actually represented the state of Louisiana on the Meta project over in Richland Parish and worked on those agreements. And I can tell you one thing, and I go there at least once a week now. I was there earlier this week. I'll be there next Monday. The transformation opportunity that this brings is hard to even fathom. Let me give you an example. Right now, tax revenue, sales tax revenues for a given point in time for a parish, $1 million, it's now $9 million. And keep in mind that the legislature almost unanimously voted to exempt sales tax on the purchase of equipment and materials. So you're talking about this extra money is coming from people just buying more food, going to restaurants, going to movies, buying new vehicles, all of those things. The revenue is absolutely tremendous. You're talking about they have 5,000 construction jobs on a project that's expected to take 10 years to build. That's not a regular construction job. That's almost permanent. You're talking about a decade. One of the things that we don't have in this community is we don't have massive construction companies like you see in South Louisiana. The reason for that, one of the reasons, is because we don't have ongoing customer demands for construction. The reason South Louisiana has built some of the biggest construction companies that come up here and do the work up here is because they've had decades of steady demand from the refineries down there. We've got the ability to do that here. We've got the ability for our small companies, our small electric companies, to have 10 years worth of steady work so that they can grow and that they can build. And that's one of the things that you'll see. The other thing is, and I want to be very clear, I guarantee you, because we've seen what the Public Service Commission is going to do, you can be assured the Public Service Commission is not going to allow this to be approved unless they're going to commit to building the extra capacity necessary to power these. That's exactly what was done at Meta. That's not what was done 10 years ago. When you hear about capacity being taken now, you're required to build new capacity. And when there's new capacity, then we don't have to cut off, our lights don't cut off in August like they have the last two years because we have more capacity and it's not being paid for by us. And lastly, I'll say the water. They've got a contract with the city of Delhi over there. The city of Delhi, or the town of Delhi, needed significant upgrades to their water system. They paid for all of it. And that's just a fact. And they're generating tons and tons of revenue. So I'll end by saying this. I do economic development work all over the state. Lived in South Louisiana. I'm from here. When this data center was announced in Richland Parish, everybody in South Louisiana called me. They were furious. How could North Louisiana get the biggest thing that's ever happened in the state of Louisiana? I think that we need to have the second biggest thing that's happened in the state of Louisiana, but this time in Shreveport.
Mr. Masada, before you leave, any questions for this gentleman? Comments? Board members? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Posada.
Absolutely.
Did I hear you say that the Public Service Commission will assure that existing customers won't bear these upgrade costs?
Bill, you and I both know our friend Foster Campbell really well. I can guarantee you that somebody like Foster Campbell is not going to be 100% on board, as well as the rest of the Public Service Commission, without those requirements in there. That is a huge issue. It's been a huge issue across the country, and regulators are not going to allow those costs to be passed along to ratepayers. And if you look at the recent study that came out that was posted in the Washington Post, it actually showed that states with the biggest capacity, or the largest number of data centers, Virginia and North Dakota, their rates have actually gone down because they've been able to spread the costs out with industrial users, as opposed to California that has not allowed big data centers and their rates have gone up. And so we desperately need, and here's the last thing I'll mention too. AEP SWEPCO services East Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana. If the data center doesn't come here, it's going to East Texas. And the same company's going to be building the same thing, and it's still going to affect our power. So either way, our utility is going to be supplying a data center. The question is, do we want it in East Texas, or do we want it in Shreveport, where we get the benefits?
So the answer is no, then you don't expect existing customers to bear these costs?
No.
Okay. I might make one more comment. I've been reading about Georgia, as referenced previously by another speaker. They're wrapping up construction of a nuclear plant, and the Georgia power bills have gone up $50 a month to bear that burden. And some of that, I'm sure, is generated by data centers.
Well, they should have got the data center to build it and got that commitment, like I'm sure will be the case, which I know will be the case here, because that's the model that we already started over there in Meta. You can look at it. I mean, you can go and look at the documents. This is not me saying this. You can go look at the precedent that we set in Louisiana, and I have no reason to believe that that precedent will be broken.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Misada. Is there anyone else present who care to speak in favor of this request?
To the chair and to the rest of this commission, my name is Marvin Muhammad, 1116 Prospect Street, Shreveport, 71104. I stand today as a board director of the Caddo Parish Industrial Development Board. Many of these gentlemen that have already spoke, I have working with. First of all, Mike Masada, he's actually the bond attorney for IDB. And most of the projects that Mr. Dixon of LED spoke about, we have literally worked on those. From the Amazon Fulfillment Center, from SLB at the old General Motors plant, GE, over 4,000 jobs that we have literally brought here to the city of Shreveport and Caddo Parish. I stand today to rise to say simply that this is a win, win, win. When you look at the economic development numbers that Justin Dixon spoke about, 200 jobs, approximately, we're talking about potentially $17 million of W-2 income that will be flowing into our economy. Much needed dollars that would be buying homes, that would be buying cars, that would be buying big ticket items that will improve our economy. We also know, as it was alluded to, the construction jobs. You're talking about hotels and the rental property, the Airbnb facilities. You're talking about those. Now that income coming into those realtors and property owners' hands that now being poured back into our economy. We also can talk about, and there was a question about the pressure on our utilities. First of all, the city of Shreveport, we currently have a water system that is being underused. We have a population of approximately 180,000, and we have a water system that was built for over 250,000 people. So we have what we need to get this done. As Mr. Corbin spoke about, they recently spent $100 million for the transmission center out at that industrial park. That talks about the commitment of SWEPCO that they have already put. Again, this is a win, 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 and I explore this commission to move forward. Thank you.
Mr. Mohammed, before you leave, any questions for this gentleman and the organization that he represents? Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else present who care to speak in favor of this request? Anyone else present? All right. At this particular time, I'm sure there's a spokesperson for an organization that's in opposition to this. You'll come forward, please.
Good afternoon, Chairman and members of the board. My name is Reginald Dodd. I'm the pastor of Greenwood Acres Baptist Church, 7480 Greenwood Road, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71119. Our church also owns property on Washington Lane, which is right in that zone. I'll get started. So my purpose for being here today is why we shouldn't have data centers in residential areas. And one of those reasons has to do with constant noise. And when it's been spoken about, one of the things that shows this map, you see the red, only one street in Greenwood Acres that's going to be the closest community to this data center was notified to come to a meeting. That's why there were only 14 people. I drew a purple circle around because typically the noise zone is well past 2,000 feet. That goes into all of Greenwood Acres. Those people have no idea how this is going to affect them. It also goes into Deer Creek. That's at the bottom part. It also goes into part of Timberline. And in the document that was given, they mentioned Western Hills. If that's the case, then we're talking about through Timberline and all the way towards Pines Road. Could have been a mistake that they put it in there. I don't know, but that's what's in there. So there's constant noise. And the problem about the noise is this. It was I-20 and Highway 80 have been referenced. I'm only feet away from 80 every day in my office. And I'm not far from I-20, which is just across. There are a few trees there. Yes, I hear trucks, I hear cars, but it is not a constant sound. It is not a constant noise that's being made that is generated by data centers. So they are talking about a 150-foot tree line. These buildings are 400,000 square feet each, 69 feet high, with turbines or fans blowing air to cool down and make noise. Air coming out of the sides of the buildings that make noise is not the decibel level. It has to do with the drone. If you've ever heard a car with a subwoofer come through your neighborhood or where you were, you hear it long before it gets there because those sounds travel further. These data centers give off sounds that are at lower decibel levels that cause this sound to travel through walls. You felt that bass come through your house if you've ever had someone with a subwoofer. You don't hear the music, you hear the bass, the low sounding sounds. And then so some of that sound's gonna come from the top. Many of these places have had sound mitigating material put around them, and it does no good because of the type of sound that it is. These data centers, this low hum and that goes on. So some people describe it as if those who are closest to it say it sounds like an airplane that's about to take off. And it never takes off because it's all of the time. And this notice again was only given to people 500 feet away. That's not far enough. It's going to affect people much farther. It is even said that the sound can travel up to 2 miles in some of these data centers. And these are hyperscale data centers. These are large data centers. They are going to use more power. And we did not get a commitment from Mr. Corbin to say how this is going to affect us because nobody knows. And then additionally, we have to look at our code if we're going to invite data centers to come into our community because they only had to give this notice to people that close. That's not far enough. When you talk about data centers, do we have codes and in place that would keep us from having, as it was stated earlier, that the citizens wouldn't be negatively affected? This is supposed to be about doing things that help the citizens. And the majority of the citizens in the community of Greenwood Acres have not been considered. The two churches that are right along that area have not been considered because none of us got notifications. Nobody got notifications. There's noise causes sleep disruption. It affects people with mental illnesses. It affects people's physical health. I put the slides up there. I'm not going to read it to you. These sources of noise, the fans, the cooling mechanisms, all of this, and again, it's a persistent sound. If I was to come to your house and talk to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you're going to get tired of me. That sound is constant. It's a low drone that doesn't go away. And most of the people who are going to make a decision about this have never been around one long enough to know how it would affect you. I don't believe that we've done enough research as far as it fitting within this and that. But we're talking about people's lives. We're talking about how their property is going to be devalued. Here I am. We have a house on Washington Lane, 6778 Washington Lane. And let's say we go to sell it and people come to see it. And we have this data center and they hear this noise. Oh, well, what's that noise? Oh, it's a data center. Oh, it goes off at night, right? No, it's 24/7, 365. How am I going to sell a piece of property when I'm dealing with that? And these hyperscale data centers, they put data, they are made in such a way that they can increase capacity. So if they increase the capacity, more water. If they increase the capacity, they also need more electricity. And we still haven't had, I'll say again, we don't have a commitment from SWEPCO to say this won't affect everybody else. And as it was said, SWEPCO serves a lot of people. What's going to happen with the wastewater? Where does it go? What about these pollutants? These pollutants come from chemicals that are mixed in with the water to help cool all of these computers that are within that system. And I'll say again while I continue to go, we have not heard from the people that this is going to affect the most. And then I can't remember Matthias's last name, but he said when he stood here, he said there are other places within the area we could use, but there's a substation already there. And what he did not say when they talked about that they're going to have these, have their own generation, normally it's diesel-powered generators. Diesel-powered generators produce a lot of particulates that land in around the area in the city of Memphis, Tennessee. They people have become they now a lot of people have COPD as a result of 30-some generators that are running to take care of a data center that is not far from their neighborhood. It is not about, for me, whether the data center can come to Shreveport. It's should it be in the neighborhood, affecting all of these people, their property value, their health. And it will affect, I believe, our population is about 177,225 people now, according to the last census. And so these hyper scale data centers use enough electricity for a city somewhere around with 560 to 700,000 households. If you scale it up, that's what it does. Property value, I've talked about, I'll move on. Is there a more suitable location? Justin Dixon, the president and CEO of NELP, said in our neighborhood meeting that a non-disclosure agreement has been signed, that there are certain things we can't talk about. So we don't know who this is. We don't know all of the information that the city, that our city leaders have. You know, there are people who know a whole lot more than we do, and we're the people it's going to affect. Not just a handful of people who make the decisions. And the decisions should be made based on what the input of the people, and that just has not happened. So let me move on, because I know my time is moving. We don't want people to get sick behind this. We don't want people who who are marginalized already to be marginalized even further. Many of the people who live in the neighborhood are elderly and don't understand what is a data center. When we had the meeting, I had to ask the question: can you tell everybody for the good of the group what a data center is? And we're talking about 125 now, it goes up to 150, maybe 200, maybe. These are estimates. Data centers are run by as little as 25 people. And this footprint is larger than the footprint of GM, right next to 2 neighborhoods, really next to 3. This is not the place for it. And we haven't talked about construction. How that many times the construction is 24 hours, 7 days a week. And all the lights that are on, producing so much light that the people closest to it, it's daylight all the time for them. I'm not against data centers, but I don't believe they should be in the neighborhood where people live. That's all I have for you.
Pastor Dodd, before you take your seat, if you'll come back, please. I want to treat you as nice as I've done all the others.
you.
Is there any board member or president who'd care to ask him any questions? Please let me get your attention because I see hands moving. Brother Moss?
Yeah, Reverend Dodd, how you doing, first of all?
I'm good. How are you? I'm
Great
sorry
to-
about the passion, but
That's
I'm
all
not
right.
angry, just passionate.
Exactly. My main question, because people have been calling me all week about it, what type of development would you like to see there?
Right. Well, it has been, just to be fair, the zoning that's there now, the church in the neighborhood fought against and it was passed back during Mayor Tyler's administration. It reverted back to this and that. It's clear that it's not the best place. There's a 2-lane road that goes into Resilient Way that goes back to where SWEPCO has their facility. If we're gonna ask the question again, I may have gotten off track.
What type of development you would like to see there?
It needs to be something that does not intrude on the neighborhood, that doesn't diminish the quality of life for the community. This isn't going to enhance anything about that neighborhood, Greenwood Acres. All those rectangles you see is somebody's property. It represents the lives of the people who live there and the people who work there. We're in that same zone. So I would be hearing that noise every day too, just like they would. And I'm close enough, I live close enough, I wouldn't be surprised if it got there. Trees are not a mitigating factor against noise. It's just not. They're not designed. And even when they have used mitigating materials to try to stop the sound, it just doesn't work because of the kind of sound that it is. It is not intended, should not be here. It has to be another place. A substation should be able to be built wherever a data center is going to be. It shouldn't be in a neighborhood.
Okay, secondly, just one more question. In just listening to the conversation earlier, 14 people showed up at the meeting.
I'm sorry, there's someone talking behind me. I can't hear you well.
Yeah, 14 people showed up at the meeting.
Yes, sir.
About this thing.
And not that many houses on that street. If you look at Washington Street, is where you see R17. Those are the people who receive notification in the Greenwood Acres community. The rest of those streets, Morrison, and on across all the way to Rockwell, nobody else received a notification. So you didn't ask for 20, 30 people to come. Maybe half of them showed up.
So if they were to, just hypothetically, defer today and go back to a meeting, to have a meeting, and all of these folks that are in here today against this, to just listen to the buy-in and try to see if they can come to some type of medium. Because one thing is, we're always trying to bring business to Shreveport, to let folks know we are open for business.
Yes.
These data centers are around the world now. We have approximately around 9 here in Louisiana. There are a lot of ups and downs when it comes to bringing new business in. I'm a firm believer in holding people like SWEPCO and other folks accountable when we bring these type of businesses.
But they're non-committal. That right now nobody wants to commit.
Yeah. So what I'm asking is if they were to have another meeting where y'all can ask the questions that you want to. It seems like y'all asking them here. Y'all actually getting, want to find.
It definitely needs more investigation and more information needs to be shared beyond what we have. Okay. I know that there have to have been studies and other information, other impacts that would demonstrate what the total impact would be. And then can we know what these other potential sites are? That would be, can it be somewhere else? It's not. Don't bring a data center to Shreveport, but don't put them in neighborhoods. We heard a whole lot of talk about oil change business near Ellaby. My God, what would happen if this was down on Ellaby?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Elverson?
You had a lot of facts that you were, or information that you were sharing. You had mentioned GM plant relative to this. Where'd you get your information for that?
I'm just looking at the footprint. Yeah.
What is that difference? You said this is bigger than the GM plant?
It's based on the acreage and the buildings there. It's about the size of the GM plant.
Well, that's not right.
That's not right?
The
Okay,
GM
I'll
plant's
accept correction.
513 acres, and it's
513 acres, but what about
3.5 million square feet.
Mhm.
So that's significantly larger than this.
It's still, this is in a community. If it's half the size of GM, it's in a community.
I just wanted to correct that.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, Dr. Tebow?
I'm just going to add the comment. I do appreciate your presentation. I'm really straddled across the fence on this, and I'm going to say openly that I probably would have appreciated just a little bit more effort from the presenters from AEP and the water company. There are a lot of questions that we have that are still unanswered, and I think a thorough presentation, not just a vague, broad sentence that this is not going to impact. Give us some data-driven information so that we can make a sound decision. Your presentation was good. I probably would have referred some references on some things, but you gave a very thorough outline.
I had
would
10 minutes.
expect that
They've
we
had
could
months.
get that.
I had 10 minutes to talk about it.
And yeah, and I understand, but references are always good so
Yes.
that you won't be questioned about
Well,
the
I'll be glad to
integrity
provide 'em.
of your work.
Let's
But
have
I
another
do
meeting.
appreciate that. It was a very good presentation. But there's still a lot of questions here that
Couldn't
I feel
this
like
be
are
tabled
unanswered.
until another time so that it can be further investigated? Just a question.
Before
I'm
you
sorry.
leave the mic, Pastor, Ms. Jackson?
Okay, I just want to appreciate your presentation as well, because you were very knowledgeable about a lot of things that you spoke about. And actually, I pray that the persons, the presenters, will give you an opportunity and the residents to explain what they're trying to bring to your community, because just like I said before, I'm a person that's transparency, all about transparency. And if I don't know what it is and it's coming in my community, it will be a problem for me. And so you won't want to bring things in your community that you don't know anything about.
I agree.
But thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any more questions? Yes, ma'am?
Yes.
Pull your mic down, turn it on, please.
I always forget, I got a big mouth, that's why I don't talk in the mic. But anyway, based on our 1:30 meeting and this item being recommended for approval by administration, the one thing I can appreciate about Mr. Clark, we have concerns about the water, the electricity, and all this other stuff, but our job as a board is to answer the question, is it approved? I mean, can it be approved for land use? And everything else follows, the water, the gas, and all the utilities, all of that follows. So I think what I need from administration would not approve a project of this magnitude if, and I'm listening to you, Mr. Dodd. Mr. Dodd trained me in technology, by the way, when I was working with Caddo Parish. No, Reverend Dodd. But anyway, I don't believe that administration would recommend this for approval. And based on what you've shared, Mr. Dodd, and I'm asking administration, our aim is to approve it for land use. Me, I'm big on drainage, I'm big on all of them. And, I've been told since I've been on this board, look, our job is to approve it for land use. The drainage, the water, the electricity. So I think I'm having some problems here now because of the concerns of the constituents, the residents. You know, I would have those concerns too, and definitely because my co-commissioner lives out in the area, and she's talked about some experiences that she's had with electricity, water, and thus and so. So I guess I
It's
want
not
to
been
ask the
stable out there.
administration, our job is to approve it for land use, and you recommended it for approval. You would still stand to say it's recommended for approval according to administration, based on what's been presented.
Based on the zoning classification of the property, it's zone industrial. It's zone industrial plan unit development. We made our recommendation based on research that we did and the appropriateness of the zoning class and the location. So we would not change our recommendation, but we're only a recommending staff to you. We did all the research that we felt was necessary, and that's how our recommendation came.
So then, so it wouldn't change. You're saying your recommendation wouldn't change as far
It
as
would not change.
going.
We don't deal
Right.
with emotions. We just try to deal with land use appropriateness. And this is a allowable use in an industrial zone area.
Which means we're gonna be back to square one, even if we meet. You know, even if you, I'm talking to Ms. Jackson.
Oh, okay.
Even if we get together and we call another meeting and we get the feel and the recommendations from the constituents, and they say, well, no, you know, let's look at another area, because it's zoned industrial, it doesn't mean it's gonna change. It doesn't mean it's gonna change.
Okay.
Constituents need more information, but I'm just keeping it real.
All right.
You know, when you all meet and come back and, you know, and talk and say what you want, this and that, it's zone industrial. So the politics remains the same. So if you want to meet and greet and do whatever, do it. You know, but the zoning isn't, it's not changing.
We can't shout from the audience. If you'll hold on just a moment.
Okay, I'm finished, but that was my concern.
We're going to give our members of the audience an opportunity to come to the mic. But let's finish with this. Was some other question here? Is it all the questions for the pastor? All right. Pastor Todd, thank you so much. At this particular time, is there anyone else present who'd care to speak in opposition to this particular case? Please state your name and address.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Antonio Zavarche, and I am a real estate agent here in the area. My vested interest here is housing and people. A data center is not a standard warehouse. It is a heavy industrial consumer of power and water that runs 24/7. Given that our city's water infrastructure recently received an F grade from the state, and we are already under an EPA consent decree for sewer overflows, I need specific technical guarantees that this project won't break the back of our local infrastructure, harm our residents' health, and be a catalyst for a real estate disaster. I understand this site is part of the Resilient Technology Park, which is served by the legacy water infrastructure on Greenwood Road. That infrastructure was likely designed for the standard warehouses, not a hyperscale data center. Has an independent hydrological study confirmed that this specific water main can support millions of gallons of daily withdrawal without dropping water pressure from the surrounding homes and the fire hydrants on the Greenwood Road? Data centers use cooling towers that require chemical additives to prevent corrosion and bacterial growth. When you discharge this blowdown water, what specific filtration systems are in place to remove these concentrated chemicals before they enter our local drainage ditches and the Cross Lake watershed? Would you commit to a zero liquid discharge system? Is this plant going to commit to generating its own power? If not, has an independent study of our local grid been ordered to determine the burden that can and will affect this area that already suffers from frequent blackouts? Residents in rural areas like Virginia and Texas, which were mentioned here, have seen their property values and quality of life decline due to the low frequency hum of data center cooling fans that run 24/7. Will you commit to a specific decibel limit at the property line that is stricter than the standard industrial code, given that this noise is continuous? This application is being presented on behalf of Frank's Investment Company. Is this a speculative permit to make land more valuable for sale? Or do you have a specific tenant operator like Amazon, Google, or Microsoft committed to these environmental standards that I mentioned before? Because if it is speculative, how can we trust that the eventual operator will honor any promises or questions answered here today? I'm not against development, but I am against incompatible development. A data center is a heavy industrial resource hog. It consumes water like a small city, and it creates noise pollution that drives away future residential buyers. Basically, you cannot build a water-guzzling mega plant on top of F-grade infrastructure without risking the water supply and property values of every family in this area. Thank you.
Mr. Antonio, thank you. Any questions for this gentleman? All right, thank you, sir. Next person, please.
Dr. Laretha Bradley, 8626 Rampart Place, Shreveport, Louisiana. I'm here on behalf of Greenwood Acres Full Gospel Baptist Church. Copilot Microsoft AI was asked the following question. And we all know that AI knows everything except the mind of God, and thinks it knows that too. And this was a question asked. What are the reasons a data center should not be placed near residential communities? And the answer in short was this. Data centers near residential communities can cause serious environmental, health, and infrastructure problems, including high electricity and water use, pollution from backup generators, noise, and strain on local utilities. And some of the areas of environmental concerns are massive electricity demands. Data centers already consume about 4% of U.S. electricity and could rise to 6 to 12% by 2030. This can strain local grids and raise utility costs to nearby residents. Water usage. A single large facility may require 5 million gallons of water per day, equal to what a town of 50,000 people uses. Pollution risk. Diesel backup generators release fine particulates that contribute to respiratory issues like asthma. Studies predict 600,000 asthma attacks by 2030 linked to data center emissions. Quality of life issues, noise pollution. Cooling systems and generators create constant noise, disturbing nearby households despite soundproofing efforts. Land use. Data centers occupy huge tracts of land but provide relatively few permanent jobs. They can reduce opportunities for more community-friendly development. Visual impact. Large industrial-style buildings can alter the character of residential neighborhoods, lowering property values and diminishing quality of life. Infrastructure strain, grid instability, sudden disconnections or erratic voltage spikes from data centers can damage household appliances and increase fire risks. Utility costs. Increased demand for electricity and water often forces municipalities to upgrade infrastructure, with costs passed on to the residents. So in summary, placing data centers near residential communities is risky because they consume enormous resources, generate pollution, create noise, destabilize local infrastructure. While they can bring jobs and tax revenue, the net impact often harms residents' health, environment, and finances. Communities are increasingly, and I'm out of time. So AI even know that this is not a facility that should be near residential communities.
Thank you, Dr. Bradley. I'm going to encourage you as you come to the mic do as Dr. Bradley is please be considerate of your time so that there's some people behind you'd like to share. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Maddie Harris, 6719 Pines Road, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71129. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Commission and community, for your time here today. I'm a proud community member, born and raised in Shreveport, Louisiana, a place where I'm proudly called my home. Data centers and their construction have proven to cause instability with permanent jobs, increase traffic and motor vehicle crashes, energy bills to rise, deplete water sources for the entire city, create excessive air pollution, including increasing risk of cancer, asthma, and other respiratory diseases for constituents and more. Consuming well over 5 million gallons of water, data centers indisputably create droughts and barriers to access to necessary water and energy sources that help feed our families, water our crops, maintain coolness in Louisiana heat and humidity, and feed our livestock. The proposition harms communities in multiple residential areas. The city of Shreveport's water system notably received an F in 2023 and 2024 with a revision to a D in 2024, proving there are major existing conditions that are already negatively impacting the community. An addition of a 2.8 million square feet data center would further strain infrastructure, pollute drinking water, and cause significant water pressure issues. Communities in Georgia have reported having to flush their toilets with buckets of water due to low pressure and finding cement and debris in their bathing and drinking water. These data centers largely impact low-income communities who have no means to invest in fancy state-of-the-art water filters. Furthermore, the noise alone emitted from the large centers trigger PTSD, anxiety, and disrupt schedules, causing harms to our veterans, autistic communities, and day-to-day Louisianians. I fear for the health, wellness, and safety of all our constituents in Shreveport, Louisiana, particularly those closest to Greenwood Road. In communities building similar projects such as Shelby County, Tennessee, large data centers emit between 1,200 and 2,000 tons of oxide of nitrogen annually from on-site gas turbines, resulting in an estimated annual public health cost of $160 million. That's the Harvard Business Review. The strain on the environment and people of Shreveport will be far too great to bear. I'm requesting that the Metropolitan Planning Commission vote no to the special use permit and site plan, and request that the engineering company, Frank Investment LLC, and the representatives provide the public with the environmental impact report, creating a transparent plan to the city and the people it will impact. Thank you for your time.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Ken Epperson Sr., 3822 Treat Drive, Timberline Subdivision, also Caddo Parish Commissioner, District 12, which the stated property is located within my district, and also President of the Pines Road Area Business Association. First of all, I would like to say that a lot of things that I've heard here today, both pro and con, there's a possibility of some integrity and some more investigation need to be done. But however, my biggest debacle was the so-called Neighborhood Participation Program meeting that was held on November the 13th. You had some gentlemen that come out there with a couple of sheets of paper, looked like maybe 11 by 17, with just black and white pencil drawings. So what we have here today is what we should have had at that neighborhood participation meeting. The people should not be second class because of what they think that our leaders should know. And another thing that bothers me is always these confidentiality agreements that we must enter into. People look to us as elected officials when something is coming here. And you know when we say, hey, we got something coming, but we can't talk about it, you know. But then you got something that breaks in the newspaper, and you know what our constituents say? He's either lying, or he's been bought out, or whatever it is. We are put in these positions to be advocates on behalf of our constituents. Advocates on behalf of our constituents. Just because we question a venture does not mean that we are anti-business. I get so sick of hearing that you're anti-business. We should be pro-constituents. We have a right to make sure that we get all the information out factually. What I heard in that neighborhood participation meeting was that they wanted someone to sign a blank check and let somebody fill it in. Oh, we don't know what's going to be there. You don't know what's going to be there, but you want us to give approval to change that zoning. That doesn't make sense. I'm a member of the National Association of County Officials, the Economic, Community, and Workforce Development Committee. I heard glimmers of this situation in February of 2025 of this year in DC at our National Legislative Conference. A lot of my colleagues from Prince George County, Virginia, Maricopa County, Arizona, all these places where these centers are, we have been getting that information. And these citizens deserve the right to have that information. And I think it's a debacle. It's a travesty. You're talking about 500-foot radius to notify people. I passed an ordinance on the commission that we do 1,500 feet of a zoning change. I got up last night and looked out my back window, and I could see lights shining from the tire company at the intersection of Industrial Loop and Interstate 80. These are things that we should let our people know. And ladies and gentlemen, you have something before you here today. Either vote for what they're asking for, vote against it. But I think at this present point in time, you should vote to postpone this item, call a neighborhood meeting again with the information that has been presented here today. And this isn't the place for us to discuss everything. This should have been discussed at that neighborhood participation meeting. And I think the venue should be Greenwood Acres Missionary Church, 7480 Greenwood Road, and invite all of those citizens within that particular area to come, because it's going to affect us all. Western Hills, Timberline, Deer Creek, Colonial Heights, West Peak, all of those places. I've been getting calls and calls and calls. Even though Metropolitan Planning Commission, you make the decision, goes to the city council, they either uphold it or reject it or amend it. But still, we have common constituents. These are my constituents too. And I'm going to advocate on their behalf. And I think a travesty has been committed in that so-called neighborhood participation meeting. And I would ask that you would vote to postpone this item, hold another neighborhood participation meeting with good factual information, visual presentations that we have here now, so the people can be properly educated. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Commissioner. Yes, ma'am. Turn your mic on.
I enjoyed your presentation, but make sure you stress that when they meet again, that they show up. If they get another meeting, it's going to be so important that you show up.
Right, I understand.
Right.
Let me state one fact. 500 feet. The 500 feet only encompass Washington Lane. Okay? All right. Any other questions?
Thank you, Commissioner. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jack Bailey. Address is 2790 Fairfield Avenue. Look, I don't live in Greenwood. I got family. I got friends. Longstanding assumption is that Greenwood is full of retirees. It is not. You have young families. You also have, due to the cost of living in old neighborhoods in Shreveport, you have lawyers, nurses, doctors, salespeople who work in industrial zones who come up to live in Shreveport and move to Greenwood. Why? Because it's affordable. Up and down my mother-in-law's street, there are little kids, blooming families. Why is that relevant? I'm going to tell you. One point I do want to make, Ms. McCullough, I think you were so right in bringing up what the actual question before this board is. I want to stress that this board has discretionary power in the same way that our district court judges do. You have broad discretion in making these decisions. It is not quite so simple as, is it zoned appropriately for industrial use or not? And I want to challenge the assumption that it is. First off, I just want to point out, I have made a fortune against the city of Shreveport's lawyers who are willing to put up hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees to try to save $5,000. I don't trust their recommendations. Number two, the reason discretion is important and why it's also important and relevant that families live here is something that the earlier ladies who came up there and mentioned that seems to go on over is the generators. These There is a significant difference between the infrastructure that Meta would build for a regular data center versus an AI data center. And almost every single AI data center in the country has 60 to 100 industrial-sized diesel generators on site. The noise we've been talking about so far is just basic operational noise. I got a generator. Y'all got generators? You know you guys are supposed to run those things every week. Did you know that Louisiana and the city of Shreveport both have industrial zoning requirements for diesel generators on sites like this? They ain't talk about this. I want you to point out, too, I've sued City of Shreveport on water and sewage. The fact that they had water but not sewage is a hat trick that they like to pull. There is a reason. Anytime some suit, some lawyer, some bureaucrat ever comes before someone and goes, don't ask too many questions. You don't need an opportunity to ask. Slip this by. Just say yes, man. It's because they're hiding something. We had a gentleman come up here, A-plus presentation in any college in this state, and basically get told, yeah, well, I got lots of questions. What are your sources? Where are their sources? Where's their data? Where's their presentation? Absolutely not. If you hear about the jobs and the money, how long-term is that? I want you to go on your phones tonight. Look up the link between miscarriages in neighborhoods that host data centers. Do you know how shocking it is that we have a statistically significant upkeep in childhood cancer, childhood death, miscarriages in neighborhoods that have these data centers? How long have we had these data centers in America? The fact that these things are so young, and yet we can statistically link these diseases and these deaths to these so quickly when these data centers are so young is shocking.
Mr. Bailey, please be cognizant of the persons behind you, but thank you so much for your
Yes, sir.
interesting position.
Lavette Fuller, 519 Kirby Place. First, congratulations on your retirement. You won't have to worry about getting any more headaches from me after today. The most good for the most people for the longest time. The most good for the most people for the longest time. The zoning never should have happened that you had a residential neighborhood having industrial placed in it when the residents were already there. That was a mistake. We keep making mistakes like that because we think it smells like money. Shreveport loves to do things that smell like money, but end up doing the least good and harming a whole lot of people over a longer duration of time than any of the energy or any of the water that we can even fathom over the timeline of this data center potentially being there past any of us being here. Ultimately, the only thing I want to speak to is y'all's broad discretionary judgment that you all have over a special use permit, because this special use permit is going to be permanent. Once you add that to the slap in the face that was already the industrial use, it stays even after the property transfers hands. I don't think you need to have another meeting, a town hall, a neighborhood participation program. You can vote this down today. But they don't want it. You've got so many people saying eloquent things today. That's the only thing I wanted to point out, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Fuller.
Matthew Torma, 9050 Uri Drive, apartment 1713. I want to thank you all for your time. I'm opposing this data center. I do want to point out that, yeah, it was interesting that the only people that got asked for their sources were the citizens and not the people that are bringing this before the commission, but we can move past that right now. So we're being asked to approve a 2.8 million square foot data center campus, a project of regional scale, without knowing the end user, the operator's actual water, wastewater, or electrical demands for a permanent transferable special use permit, and those details matter. Factually, since we want to talk about facts, our infrastructure is already strained. Shreveport remains under a federal sewer consent decree, which we do, and that has to do with wastewater. It is right, that does not have to do with how we are transitioning, what was it, it doesn't matter. Anyways, it has to do with backflow. So what system are we putting this into? Which sewage tanks, sewers are these going into? How do we do this? And it's not just cooling materials, it's also biocides. That means we are putting things that kill antimicrobials or any microbials into our water supply, into our sewage system. We need to be prepared to deal with that, and we are not. How does this affect the federal sewage decree that we have from the federal government? We have no answers to that. They want to use jobs as a determining factor for this, yet we have no projected jobs that we have. We have no determining factor for that. We get that we have 150 to 200 jobs available. The numbers I see, 50 to 100. So I have no idea where they're getting their numbers from. I would ask for their sources. Number two, thank you. Beyond that, historically, both in Shreveport and nationally, the burdens of industrial infrastructure failures fall disproportionately on low-income and predominantly Black neighborhoods. That's from the discriminatory outcomes of industrial oil permitting in Louisiana and the United States. That's my source for that. When large users stress water, sewer, or electrical systems, the first communities to feel the impacts are the ones already living with aging pipelines, lower pressure, and fewer redundant lines. We've seen this locally. During Snowmageddon, Western Hills lost water far longer than most of the city, not because of the location, but because that part of the system simply could not withstand a high-stress event. I wish they were still here. That same fragile system would be responsible for absorbing the wastewater and electrical impacts of this project. The applicant has said that this amount of water is not an issue. I agree. Amount of water is not an issue. Quantity may not be the problem, but wastewater is. A water cooling down center produces cooling tower blowdown containing dissolved solids, anti-scaling chemicals, corrosion inhibitors, and biocides that I mentioned earlier. We want to talk about, we are built on an agrarian society. We want to move towards progress, but killing our land is not how we do that. Killing our citizens is not how we do that. I would ask, I'm going to wrap up real quick. I would ask that you use your discretion to either A, add enforceable conditions requiring independent water and electric capacity verification, developer-funded utility upgrades, and annual public reporting on water, power, and wastewater impacts, or defer the case until those critical analyses are completed and publicly available.
Thank you, sir. All right. Next person. Is there anyone else?
Hi, my name's Michael Ashworth. I'm a DSCC member, 7B. I live in Frierson, Louisiana, but I'm born and raised Shreveport, Louisiana. And I mean, I've seen our state, or this area, have all kind of problems with water and sewage. And I mean, we've had drought for years back and forth. But here's the main thing. We don't have any guarantees that this isn't going to cut into our taxpayer dollars, that this isn't going to charge us more money, that this isn't going to increase our electric bill, which already went up $50 for me. I don't know about everybody else, but it keeps going up with no excuse and no improvement, and with outages and everything else like we had a few years ago, having the outages where we were, out of power for over a week during the summer because of winds. I mean, with these kind of issues, we need guarantees from these people, but also we're talking about jobs. They're talking jobs, and I heard this a lot living in Lake Charles. Oh, 5,000 jobs are coming to Lake Charles and Sulphur area. It's going to bring in so much revenue. 300 permanent jobs. Yeah, for 3 years, you're going to have 5,000 more people. Oh, were those local people? No, people from Chicago, from Texas, from all over the United States. So when you hear about jobs, we need to make sure it's local jobs for local people. And when I've heard this type of speech all the time, that they're going to bring jobs and hotels and all that. That's going to be for a few years. We need something permanent to bring our city back from where we were back in the 80s and 90s. Not something that is just going to have a few hundred people employed and cause major environmental impacts to our city and possibly our state. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ashworth.
I'm Nate Jenkins, representing the Shreveport Socialist League, and I'm here today to oppose the data center. allowing a company to write our elected officials into NDAs to double their ask between news stories, to make favorable deals with the government, and to use electricity enough for 16,000 homes is underhanded and dishonest. With no guarantee that this will not increase power bills or water bills, without a guarantee that this will not affect the environment and our vulnerable water supply, that it will not burden homeowners with noise, I urge you to vote no on this. The young people of this city do not want a data center because young people will have to live with the consequences of this vote today. Economic and political stakeholders, not the residents, want this data center in our city. The supposed economic benefit does not match the city's priorities. The Richland Parish data site, while much larger, should be an example of how these companies provide little to no direct benefit and only exist to make their stakeholders richer. I have visited this site personally and been to Holly Ridge Elementary School that cannot even let their students out onto the recess playground because of the history of truck accidents associated at the site. Do not be fooled by the dollar signs. This development should not be approved. Vote no on this.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
Melody Rosser, 2612 Highland Avenue, 71104. I'm here to vehemently oppose this data center permit. First, it is insulting that they invited 20 houses within the proximity of a 200,000 population city that will all be affected. Do not fool yourselves. The water, the sewer, the environmental impacts will reach far beyond the lines of Shreveport. This will reach Caddo Parish residents. It will go beyond Caddo Parish. They are intentionally obfuscating information. I heard zero facts from the applicant, from SWEPCO, and from our water and sewer about the amount of water usage, the amount of power draw, any additional increases or building of facilities to provide those. Also, what is the only potential incentive that we all see in this data center? Money, right? The return on investment is not there. Specifically, the state of Virginia is facing a $1 billion deficit due to their data center incentives. They have proposed 150 to 200,000 permanent jobs from this data center in a city of 177,000 people. That is less than 1% of this city actually getting permanent employment, and that is assuming that all those jobs were hired locally, which I think is a false assumption. There are not local residents at this time that can staff those jobs. Those jobs, a large portion of them will be sourced externally from other locations. There is not an economic impact that benefits the city. I share all of the concerns expressed by every other resident and person here today about the environmental impact, about the health impacts, about our incapability to supply this with our infrastructure. But more importantly, what is the benefit? There is no return on investment. Greg Leroy, who's the executive director of Good Jobs First, which is a nonprofit research group that tracks corporate subsidies and advocates for transparency and accountability in economic development, has spent more than a decade examining the impact of exemptions nationwide. He said the clear winners are the big tech companies. There is a great transfer of wealth from taxpayers to shareholders. That is our money not going to our citizens. This is cited from CNBC. Virginia are headed towards $1 billion annual losses. North Virginia, who is loosely called the world's data center capital, examined the economic impact of the data center sales tax exemption, and in a 2024 study by the Virginia Joint Legislative Audit and Review Committee showed average state generated 40 cents in new state revenue for every dollar it did not collect in sales tax. That is a 52 cent a dollar loss. There is no money, which would be the only incentive for us to greenlight this. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, is there anyone else?
Good evening. I'm Frances Kelly. I live at 935 Linden Street in Shreveport. And I think it's really important that you, as a body that is close to the citizens, that is local government, use your discretion in this instance. And think about not only the impact this will have to have this sited next to a residential area, but the potential impact on our infrastructure, our quality of life, our environment in all of Shreveport. I have spoken before the Public Service Commission before. I understand that there are promises being made that this will not affect ratepayers, that they can't say what kind of energy will be used to power this, whether or not that will be clean energy or whether or not that will increase air pollution. All respect to Foster Campbell, because I think he does a great job representing us, but the other commissioners, they did not want to hear from constituents. Their campaigns are funded by the people they regulate, and we have no guarantee that they will listen to the constituents. That is your job because you are here and you can make this decision. For someone to say that this is the second biggest thing to ever happen in the state of Louisiana, and there'll be this one meeting, don't we need more time? Don't we need more facts that are coming from, the fact that there's an NDA and we don't even know who it's going to be for? If it's going to be that big of a project, shouldn't you spend more time looking into it? And also giving, I found out about this last night, had no idea this was happening. I think there would be even more people here than the people that are already here and have sat through a meeting that's this long to be able to actually have a conversation and understand the potential impact of what's happening. The other thing is that apparently the state of Louisiana has passed a bill granting data center companies a 20-year tax exemption, which would decrease the state's general fund by tens of millions of dollars each year. And that is cited from the fiscal note by the Legislative Fiscal Office on that bill, which I believe was passed in the spring of 2024. So, there's so many questions. And I really think that you guys, need to take into consideration that you do have the power, you answer to the voters, you are closer to the voters than the Public Service Commission or other entities that we frankly cannot depend on to do their jobs. And as someone who worked on the Camp Minden campaign, where we had government at the highest levels fail Northwest Louisiana and had 15 million pounds of explosives left in the woods near a community, a rural community, I know the promises that were made to us, to the community, while an incinerator was coming in. And the question is, who can enforce those promises? The only thing you can do is decide whether or not to grant this permit. And once it's granted, the special use permit, you don't have any more power. So you need to take the time and make the decision, using all the facts and hearing from your constituents. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kelly.
Hello, my name is Shaliri Dominique. My address is 624 Texas Street. So I've been sitting here since the meeting started, and I wrote down a couple of different things to say, but most of the people have already said them about how the data centers, they cancer, they deplete the water, the asthma, the COPD, and all those things. And I think that what's really important is we're all in Shreveport, and we're all talking about how Shreveport is open for business, all road leads to Shreveport. But what kind of business is Shreveport open for? Do we want to bring people in our community who actually don't care about the citizens? Because from the way that this process has went, it's very obvious they don't care about the citizens. To only inform 15 to 20 people in an entire community of people, that's just not good business. And so we know that they don't really care about all the information that's out there about the cancer and stuff like that. They don't care about that. They care about their bottom line. They care about their money. And so when you're trying to make money, the best way to do that for them is to navigate the system. You have to go around it. You can only tell certain people. Because the NDA, that's the worst part of it all. Because how can we make the decision if we don't even know who it's going to be? And I wonder if the NDA is there because if we knew who the company was going to be, this room will be filled. And so that's it.
Thank you, Ms. Dominique.
Good evening. My name is Dominique Hankins. I live at 10304 Cortez Drive.
What's your last name again, sweetheart?
Hankins, Hankins. I'm not going to echo what everyone's already said. It's been said. You understand all the negative. My dad always says that if someone doesn't give you an answer, then you've got your answer. And we don't know who it is. We don't know the impact. they don't want to bother telling us the impact or presenting something that really gives us an answer. And someone up here said that they needed the information to make an informed decision. They gave you the information. That should form your decision. The information that they gave you, which was nothing. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Abby Woodington, and I live at 654 Columbia Street. I do just want to go over the harms of the data center again, just so you know what you're going to be dealing with. And thank you so much, Fred Moss, for the only person that returned my phone call yesterday. But water consumption, air pollution, rising electric bills for families, and then also further problems to our grid. Louisiana also has a terrible electric grid at the moment. We don't need to add to that. Millions lost in tax revenue already at the Richland Parish Center. And then also these data centers do not create jobs. Whatever these people have told you behind them, I've heard nothing but lies today from them. You need to listen to the people in your community that are telling you this is how this is going to affect us in the future. Please listen to us. Please vote no. Please. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Whittington.
Hi, my name is Angelica Cerullo. I live at 3215 Ninth Street. I wasn't planning on speaking. I came just to vote no. But given I have an opportunity, I'm going to say all the same things that everyone else has said. Plus, it's not fair that this company can come to Louisiana, hurt all of us, and then pay less the property taxes than another state and walk away and leave us hurt and polluted with our water being polluted, with our air being polluted. I was against the 5G towers and the smart meters. If you look, smart meters kill a butterfly, a bee in front of it. What do you think this is going to do to all of us, not just the local neighborhood, the whole Shreveport? What is the effects we're going to get from Monroe? We don't even know what that's going to do to us yet. That's it.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Anthony Blankenship. I live at 7217 University Drive here in Shreveport, Louisiana. I don't really have a whole lot to add to them. It seems very clear that the members of the MPC, we have varying degrees of who might be for, who might be against. Really, you guys are deciding, your job is to decide whether it's appropriate for it to be I-1, special use permit for this. I believe personally that you should deny their application. I believe it is more appropriate for I-2 or I-3, given the noise production that has been previously described, as well as the use of water and the use of power. They were talking about using 200 to 300 megawatts of power, which is an absolutely massive amount of power. It's enough to build an entire power station, which is why SWEPCO wants you to approve. Whether that will fall on us as citizens, as your constituents, remains to be seen. There are no guarantees, but regardless, I don't believe it falls under like this I-1 special use permit simply because it's not a normal warehouse. It's not going to use water like a warehouse uses. It's not going to use electricity like a warehouse uses. Treating it as I-1, I feel, is inappropriate. So I believe you should deny their application on those grounds, or alternatively, you should investigate it further, delay it to another time, and then perhaps if they meet other requirements that you set forth, then perhaps you can approve it at a different site that isn't in Greenwood. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Blankenship. I feel pretty certain that there are others of you who are here today who want to come and share your thoughts and beliefs with us. If, in fact, you have anything that's different from the presentations that we've had to this point that are in opposition to this particular request, please feel free to come now if you have something different. Otherwise, we would love for you. You've had your one time. We only got one, but Just a moment. Just let me finish what I'm trying to say, please. What we'd like to be able to do is, to those of you who are still present, we'd like to get a head count, unless you have a burning desire to come to the mic and you've not had that opportunity. Would you please stand at this particular time? If you're in opposition to this request that's before us, just stand. You don't have to say anything different unless you choose to. You have that privilege. And we'd like to get a head count, please. I appreciate your comment from the audience, please. But the point that I'm trying to make is that we all are here. We want to give you the opportunity to come to the mic, but we're not requiring you to stay. We're doing the best we can with what we know how to do at this point. So we want to give you the voice by standing so that we can have a head count to include in our minutes for today. Mr. Jean counts, Ms. McCullough. Will that work, Mr. Jean? We're good? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for standing. At this particular time, we are obligated to invite the applicant to come back for a rebuttal at this particular time.
Thank you for your guys' patience. I know this is a long meeting.
Give us your name and address again because you're being recorded.
In relation to the neighborhood participation plan, the city and MPC has a set ordinance and procedure for that process, and that was what was followed. And that's where that 500-foot radius came from. That's the same for an industrial project or other projects as well. That's the same standard. So that was followed. I think the fact that we do have a large presence here is proof that the process still works, right? There's other things other than neighborhood participation plans. There's public postings, there's signs on the site. And I think that shows that the process has still worked based on the attendance here today. And I think that's a big testament to the public participation here. A comment was made about on-site generation. There is no on-site generation proposed with this. We did visit that with MPC staff, and it was determined that that would not be an allowed use here. And so that is not part of the application in front of you here today. The question came up regarding sound. These are large buildings. This is zoned as an industrial park. Any sort of large building of this scale is going to have some sort of mechanical equipment to support the function and operation of that building. And so that would be similar if a large distribution center were to go in here. If a processing plant went in here, these are similar levels. You have power requirements for those types of facilities. You have heating, cooling requirements for those types of facilities as well. And this would resemble those types of facilities. SWEPCO does have 2 diesel generators at their substation adjacent to the site. They do run those for the operation of that plant, and they have not received any complaints on record that is a problem. So just for perspective there was a preliminary sound analysis that was done. Basically what came of that is the adjacency to I-20 has an ambient sound level of about 40 decibels. The county, the parish, and the city noise ordinances that are in place vary, but it's about 45 to 50 is the allowable decibels. A facility of this type would be underneath those requirements, and we are comfortable even putting into a condition of approval that we would have to comply with that noise ordinance that's established by the local jurisdictions here. Sorry, I've got a lot of notes here. There are some treatment systems. There are also state, local, parish requirements for water discharge, wastewater discharge. While that is very technical, we also understand that it's important, but the same way that any other project would be held to those same standards, this would also have to comply with that. And there would be penalties, obviously, if those are found to be non-conforming. The site selection was brought up. There was a process in selecting this site. Other sites were ruled out for the same reasons as this site was selected. they don't have infrastructure. There's not a viable means to acquire power. There's not a viable means to acquire water and sewer infrastructure to those sites. So the same reason that this site is attractive in that sense, on top of the industrial zoning already in place, other sites, we can't just go put this in the middle of nowhere and still make that feasible. So just something to note on that process. I think really where we want to focus, we hear the public, we understand their concerns. A lot of the concerns are technically based. It's been brought up that the SCP should be evaluated based on land use, the UDC code sections. And so we're happy to comply with those technical requirements. Again, the city has requirements, the parish has requirements for wastewater, water, drainage, traffic. DOTD would likely be involved for access here. The state Department of Health would be reviewing some of these permits and designs. All that would be followed. And so I don't expect that everyone in this room is an expert on those items, and I wouldn't consider myself either. But at the same time, we're in a position where there are standards in place that apply across all development projects, and this project would fit into that same category. With that, we understand concerns over water, wastewater. We are comfortable making a condition that the developer would have to pay for all of those costs to upgrade those systems needed. Same thing with the noise ordinance. We are comfortable including conditions of approval that those standards and stipulations would have to be followed. With that, again, I appreciate you guys' time. I know this has been a long meeting. Appreciate you guys' patience. I'm happy to answer any other questions now that the public has presented. And again, just ask that we respectfully ask for your approval of the application with consideration of those two conditions, and ask that you kind of keep in mind the SUP nature that's before you related to the land use and the UDC codes. Thank you.
Before you take your seat, sir, and I believe, if I might say so, based on a number of persons who've come forward, and we've had comments from board members relative to more information. We've had comments from the spokesperson from the community about people need to get more information about what you're bringing or wanting to bring to the Shreveport area. At this point, and I'm going to take the privilege of asking you that, would you care to do another meeting with the neighborhood at a specific requested location if the board chooses to ask for a delay and continue?
Our preference at this time would be to request a vote.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Before you take your seat, Mr. Everson.
You had mentioned that the noise and the dBA, and that you're certain you could meet the requirement. You know, industrial 70 dBA by the UDC right now. Would you be willing to accept the stipulation that you meet the residential requirements for 50 dBA?
I believe 50 is achievable. Yes.
Okay. And then all the other requirements you mentioned are for the water and the power are going to be met by the current laws that are in place right now that you have to follow.
In regards to treatment and pollutants, some of those concerns that were raised, yes, sir.
Would you be willing to also accept the stipulation on the lighting as well?
From like a photometric and yes, sir. Yeah, we know that the city has a photometric ordinance as well. You guys should have photometric plans in your packet in front of you, and we're comfortable meeting those standards. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. Hobart.
Halbert, but yes, sir.
Halbert,
Close.
thank you. Thank you. I believe I heard you say just now that there will be no on-site generation. Please clarify what you're saying there.
I'm trying to think of a way to not say the same thing back to you. There's not going to be on-site generation. It'll be basically coming through transmission lines from SWEPCO. There won't be, I think you had asked about solar earlier. There's no solar on site. There is no on-site generation to power this facility.
But that doesn't rule out small-scale generators, like the size of a shipping container, for example?
Those wouldn't necessarily be for power generation.
What would they be for?
Primarily backup facilities.
So what you're ruling out are large-scale power plants?
Not necessarily. There's other facilities that can generate on-site power generation. Someone mentioned nuclear. Obviously, the site is not sized for anything of that scale. There's emerging trends for on-site generation using different types of fuel cells and things like that, and that's not what is proposed before you.
Okay, well, I'm thoroughly confused now, but I'm trying to follow you.
That's okay.
Because as you probably know, one of the issues with data centers is the use of generators. And when we think of generators, we think of small-scale generators that people use in their homes when the utility service goes down. And for a facility of this size, I would think a generator the size of a shipping container would be utilized for that purpose, and maybe multiple of those types of generators. You're saying that that's entirely possible, but you're saying large-scale power generation, you're ruling that out.
That's correct. There will be generators on site for backup operations, emergency situations. Yes, sir.
And I believe you also mentioned something to the effect that any improvements to the city water and sewer service would be paid for by the developer.
That's correct. We're comfortable with that being a condition of approval tonight.
Can you say the same thing about the electric service?
I don't think we're in a position to make that commitment today based on designs and infrastructure, continued infrastructure analysis that needs to be finalized. You heard Mr. Sneed get up here and talk about the capacity. We've met with Mr. Sneed and his team. We understand the improvements that are necessary. The SWEPCO process is not as clear at this time, or it's just a much lengthier process for that type of power.
Can you describe what the water and sewer improvements would be, would consist of?
There's the likelihood of potential upsizing and pipe extensions.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, board members, any more questions for the gentleman?
I just want to confirm, he did say that he did not want to revisit with the community, that he wanted us to make a decision, approval or denial. Is that correct?
Is that correct, sir?
That is correct. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Any other board members, any comments? All right, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
One more thing.
Yes, sir.
You would prefer a vote today as opposed to keeping your powder dry and having another meeting in the community? What I'm saying is that this board could vote no, or this board could vote for a meeting. I mean, it seems to me if I were in your shoes, which I'm not.
Okay, you are not in his shoes. He just said he wanted us to make a decision, either approve or deny. That's what he said. I asked for confirmation. He doesn't want to meet with the committee, doesn't want to meet with the residents anymore. He wants us to make a decision on his application as is, whether we approve or deny. So I think we need to accommodate him and make a vote.
I'd like to make a motion.
We are offering the conditions.
All right, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Elverson?
I'd like to make a motion to approve with the stipulation that the applicant meet the residential requirements for noise.
Do we have a second? We have a second by Mr. Sater. All those in favor, vote yes. Oppositions, vote no. Yes, we have a quorum. Thank you very much. All right. The vote is 4-4. Am I reading that correctly? All right. Mr. Attorney? It fails because there's a tie vote on the screens today. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. No. We got to finish.
Chicken out.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you'll be so kind is to give us the boardroom, we've got to finish our board meeting. We have several other cases to attend to. Thank you so much for coming.
There's a bunch of misinformation, disinformation. There's a bunch of misinformation, disinformation. People, ChatGPT stuff, gives you what you want to hear, and then they just read it, and they don't know anything about it. No,
All right, at this particular time, we'll move on down our agenda. Item number 13, case number 25-128-C, and that's going to be Hoka Lounge and Cafe.
I get some real.
Sean Dial, 3101 Bellevue Road, Houghton, Louisiana, 71037. I'm here on behalf of Remax Real Estate. I represent the applicants for their use. The Heifa Hookah Lounge and Cafe. You've got plenty of information through the staff report, and because of the length of this, I'll certainly try to keep mine very quick. We had our community meeting. We've seen the staff report comments. There was a member of the MPC at our community meeting. We feel like that we are well within the use for the area. The fact that we are going to have no alcohol use, we believe is a firm attributor to the current zoning that's there, which is C2. The fact that it's a special use requirement, we believe, is solely because a hookah lounge does not exist in the current UDC classifications. And so we're not intimidated by that special use requirement. We're not intimidated by any of the communications that have come from the residents. And we did our best. I recorded the meeting that we had. We fielded approximately 14 questions from approximately 12 to 15 members there. I think we had fewer people sign in than that were actually there, so it's hard to say how many showed up. We had as many people for the application there as that were against it, just because of the amount of people involved. But every one of the questions steered around safety, alcohol use, and this is a non-alcoholic use. They have no plans to have at any point in time alcohol applications. The lease is specific to the classification, so anything that would be concerning to the residents nearby, we believe would trigger, if we were to try to do something different, would trigger a new application, which would give everyone an opportunity to still say no or yes or hear concerns with the new intended use. So the questions steered around, are you planning to serve alcohol? No, we're not serving alcohol at any point in the future. It's strictly prohibited in our lease. Our business model is built around providing a sober, relaxing environment. How will you prevent your business from becoming a nightclub atmosphere? We'll maintain low music volume for conversation, not entertainment purposes. There'll be no dancing, no loudspeakers, no alcohol. The design is bright, clean, and upscale, nothing anywhere close to what a club or a nightclub would be or a bar. How will you address the concerns of smoke and odor? We're installing professional hookah-grade ventilation systems. There's specific technology for that. The commercial system specifically is designed to prevent smoke buildup and prevent any smell from exiting the building as well. How will you handle loitering? We'll have activity from our security cameras, everything from staff members monitoring that as well. Underage individuals, every person that comes in will be ID'd before seated, no exceptions, strictly adhering to that. How will you deal with the intoxicated people trying to enter the bar? Same way during the seating process, there'll be an opportunity for them to card and to observe. And because of the environment, it will stand out if there's any issues with that. Why do you need to be open till 1? Thought this was a great question. Many of the, and I appreciated the perspective of the owners of the business. Many residents work late shifts or currently have no alcohol-free option for relaxing and going to social after work. We want to provide a safe alternative to a bar. Offering later hours helps reduce the likelihood of intoxicated drivers by giving people a sober, controlled place to unwind. Will noise from customers or cars affect the neighborhood? We don't believe, especially with the traffic corridor that's there. How will you manage safety inside? Trained staff, ID checks, no alcohol, low crowd. We just believe that it's a natural corridor for a healthy environment. Will the business attract rowdy crowds, increase crime? Our target demographic is responsible adults looking for a calmer, upscale environment without alcohol and with strong supervision. We believe it will not be an issue. How will you park and traffic be handled? Our property is has more parking space than what's required. We don't believe that's going to be a problem based off of the experience in the industry. What makes your business beneficial to the city? Again, providing adults a non-alcoholic circumstance. I'm a 24-year sober person, and I appreciate not being around people who are super intoxicated. As a LSU season ticket holder, there's been times where I've had my children, and I'm like, what did I bring my kids to? Because of the people that paid for seats around me, and I've paid a lot of money annually to have those seats, and I can appreciate what it feels like to have your space invaded. This will not happen in those environments. How do you guarantee, last question, what will you do if neighbors complain in the future? We're committed to being a good neighbor. If concerns arise, we'll address them immediately, and we're open to communication adjustments and cooperation as needed. The property owners are here. They care about their property. They neighbor business, own neighboring properties as well. I believe that this is a great use. I think if the UDC currently had a category that a non-alcoholic hookah lounge could be put in, this would be the category it would be put in. And I believe that the segregation of that would be the use of alcohol. And so we request the approval for that today.
Any questions for this gentleman, Mr. Dow, before he takes his seat, board members? Mr. Robertson?
Thank you, sir. I'm sorry I didn't catch your name.
Sean Dial, like the soap.
Dial.
But
Thank
spelled
you,
differently.
Thank you, Mr. Dial. What is the substance that is smoked in the hookah pipes?
I believe it's tobacco based. Yeah, tobacco. And my client's prepared to speak as well, following me, and he's more versed in the.
Sure. Okay, that's really the only question I had.
Certainly. Thank you.
All right, any more questions for Mr. Dow? Well, thank you, sir.
Hey, thank you.
Is there anyone else present who care to speak in favor of this request? Anyone else present care to speak in favor?
Yusuf Gazalno, 9668 Gardier Drive, Shreveport, LA, 71115. About your question about what substance goes into the hookah, it is flavored tobacco. In our lease, we do have a specific no THC, no alcohol, and no vapes at all. So there are special conditions to our lease that will terminate our lease if we do go forward with that. So we are not looking for any type of issues to terminate our lease. Of the lease that we are signing is about 5 years. So to jeopardize that for something that we're not looking for is something that, we're not trying to encourage. We just want in a different environment. Growing up in Shreveport, you're always around alcohol when you're going around with friends. And if I had an option, I would go around a location that doesn't have to involve that. And that's safer for anybody that I associate with, where I don't have to worry about them going home, driving intoxicated, because I've seen it all the time. And it's happened. And, you know, you always got to worry, well, I can suggest that this location, even though, yes, it is smoking tobacco, but they are not impaired to where their safety or any type of situation will, you know, jeopardize anything.
All right, sir. Any questions for this gentleman? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else present who care to speak in favor of this request? Anyone present to care to speak in favor? Anyone present to care to speak in opposition to this request? Any opposition to this request? Hearing none, board members, what's your pleasure?
Move approval.
Motion by Mr. Robinson, second by Ms. Jackson. All those in favor vote yes. Oppositions vote no, please.
Is there any discussion with this?
I'm sorry?
Was there any discussion after the motion?
If you care to, yes.
Yes, I just wanted to make sure that the stipulations, with stipulations.
Please share that with us.
Yes, the staff had listed stipulations in the report, and I guess I would like to amend
Please.
the motion to state that approval with stipulations.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
All right, so moved.
Yes.
We have a second? Second. All those in favor vote yes. I looked at mine and didn't look up. I didn't look down at mine. I'm sorry? Mr. Elverson, and the second by Mr. Sater. All right. Thank you very much. The motion carries. At this particular time, we move to item 14, case number 25-6-CTAC, Code Text Amendment.
Mr. Chair, this is a code text amendment that deals with how appeals from variances that are approved by the Zoning Board of Appeals are handled. Currently, at this time, all of the appeals go directly to district court. This has been seen as a real burden for small businesses and residential property owners who often do not have the capability to hire attorneys to make that happen or have the savvy to deal with it themselves. So this amendment would allow for it to be appealed to the city council instead of going directly to district court. It could eventually go to district court if it's appealed from a decision that's made by council. Because that is happening, it's going to a different body. The appeal period was for 30 days, which is more appropriate for going to court, would be lowered to 10 days, which is more appropriate for city council. And then also there is an expiration date of 180 days. We're recommending go to a year because, again, you're also often dealing with people that are not very sophisticated applicants, and sometimes it takes them longer to put everything together for them to get their actual permits. We're recommending approval of this. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion.
I make one comment.
Yes, sir, please.
I think this is something that we've needed for quite some time. I think, contrary to what citizens think, we are very sensitive to the needs and desires of our citizens. And I think that I would like to just encourage you to vote for this approval. I think it's an excellent code text amendment that will reap benefits for years to come. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir. Any other comments? All right. Mr. Elverson?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Everson, second by Ms. Jackson. All those in favor vote yes. Oppositions vote no. All right, that motion carries. Thank you very much, board members. I believe item number 15 relates to information we received upstairs relative to update of the master plan. It is before us today, and it is a recommendation for approval to be done formally, that it be put in place. Do we have any questions, concerns, comments before we call for a motion?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
When I first looked at the agenda for today's meeting, I saw update master plan, and I didn't see the word approval. Now, that may have been my mistake. I may have just read through it or just seen what I thought I saw. But I'm not going to bluff anyone here. I haven't read the master plan update. So what I would ask the board is to, in all due respect to Mr. Clark, I know he sees this as a capstone of his career as director, and he's done a good job of shepherding this through the process, but I'd like some more time to read this document before we make a decision on it. So I would ask the board to delay a decision till January.
Any other comments from anybody else? Yes,
That's correct.
Our work session.
yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you,
That
Fred.
is correct.
Oh, okay.
So this is, what we're doing today, we're being asked to move it forward, and that's what I'm understanding. Yes, ma'am, it goes to the city council from here. Yeah, updated one.
And Mr. Chairman, just real basic here, this is a pretty important document. It's an important process. We look at the master plan pretty much with every case we consider. So I'd really like a little bit more time to deliberate on the text of this update so that we can make an informed decision. So I'm only asking for a month.
Any other comments from board members? Do we have a motion?
Well, I will make another comment since we're going along anyway.
Yes.
I did read through that, and it does talk about economic development being critical to the city's future. We do reference our land use zoning map that's part of that a lot, like you said. We referenced it today for the data center case and didn't follow it. You know, so that's one of the things we need to think about is just consistency where we can't have it. But yeah, if you read through there, it talks about economic development being critical to our city's future. That's one of the biggest points that master plan makes. And it's through cases like we heard today that can make a difference.
It's on the screen now.
Yeah. Just want to point that out. If you are going to read through that some more, you know, I think we need to pay attention to that and look at land use. That's all.
Okay.
Well, Mr. Chairman, if you need a motion, I'll motion for a delay till January.
All right. Do we have a second? Second. All right. All those in favor of delaying this particular procedure until January, vote yes. If you're not in favor of delaying it till January, vote no. I believe the noes have it, so it will not be delayed until January. Obviously, the counselor, what's our, at this point?
Make another motion.
We need another motion. Yes, ma'am. We have a motion by Dr. Tebow. Second. Second by Ms. Jackson. All those in favor vote yes. Oppositions vote no. Yes, ma'am. Take your time.
Tebow.
All those in favor vote yes to approve it today. Thank you very much, board members. All right, at this particular time, we'll move further. We've had an exciting afternoon, and thank you so much for being patient with us. There are several things that we want to try to cover in the next 4 or 5 minutes, if you'll be kind enough to do so. At this particular time, one of the things we wanted to cover would be paying attention to a report from the search committee. And I believe that the search committee, in their wisdom, are asking for a motion to table the search committee process at this particular time. That's the first motion, first decision. So we'll entertain a motion for that at this particular time. Motion by Ms. McCullough, second by?
Second.
Ms. Jackson. All those in favor vote yes.
Mr. Chairman, before we vote, we're asking to table the search process.
That is correct.
Can somebody explain that to me?
We did it a couple of 2 or 3 times upstairs. That is to delay the search committee process until such time that we're in a position to move forward with identifying a person for that particular position. We gave you.
As a member of the search committee, can you tell me when do you think we'll be in a position to move forward?
In the late spring, from what we've been dealing with and what we've talked about upstairs, and in this meeting last month.
One of the key ingredients, we had no money. Financing. If somebody out of town wants to come interview, it's on their dime. We have no way to bring them here.
All right, do we get a motion on that one?
We did.
All right, and it.
We got a second, didn't
Did we get a second?
Yeah.
All right,
Rose first, and I second.
okay, we're waiting for our screen to come up. All right, please vote yes or no. Okay, that's the first request. The second motion is, on behalf of the committee, is to hold all materials currently in hand for use when the process is resumed, so that you don't have to do all of that work all over again that you guys have already done. We need a motion on that, please. Motion by Ms.
Second.
McCullough, second by Ms. Jackson. All those in favor vote yes. Oppositions vote no. We would maintain all of that material currently done. And that had to do with search committee work and all of that kind of stuff and candidates and what have you. Vote again? Yes.
Jackson.
All right. Moving on down further, the third one would be the motion to retain current search committee makeup until the assigned work is done after the first of the year.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Elverson,
Second.
second by Ms. Jackson. Go ahead, Taylor. I can repeat it. Retain current search committee makeup until the assigned work is done.
Everson was for a motion and Jackson second.
All right. Okay. All right, that motion carries. I think that perhaps sums up the information that we wanted to share and to get input from as it relates to the search committee for filling this position sometime after the first of the year. The next thing on my agenda is to call for a report from the nominating committee at this particular time.
That's me.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I'm so tired. So we met virtually yesterday, and we'd like to make the recommendation based off of the retirement of our executive director, also looking for a new director. It is custom that we transition into 3 new leadership members. We're asking that we remain in present position just to stay concurrent with everything else that's going on. And then next year, we will propose the new members, president, vice president, secretary. That was our recommendation. Present in the meeting was myself, Chris, Fred Mouse, and Harold.
All right, board members, you've heard the recommendation from the nominating committee. Are there any comments, or is there a motion to accept their recommendation? Of course. All right, motion by Ms.
Second.
Ms. McCullough, second by Ms. Jackson. Okay. Now, as we move forward, it is protocol, from what I understand, to open the floor for any nominations besides the individual recommended by the committee for chairman of the board for 2026. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, we'll move to vice chair. Are there any other nominations for vice chair of the MPC board for 2026? All right, hearing none, are there any other nominations? The floor is open for nominations of secretary for 2026. Hearing none, thank you very much. We'll move forward. There's just a couple of other things. Thank you, board members, for where we are today. Bear with me. I've got notes everywhere right now. Yeah, a lot going on today. But what I'd like to do at this point, and perhaps maybe the question will come up as we go down the road in talking about who will keep the lights on starting January 1 or with the MPC organization. I believe we'll have a special meeting that we'll be calling for. I think that for the benefit of the records, it will be scheduled for December the 15th at 12:30 upstairs in the boardroom. It will be open to the public for a discussion about that position. And at this point in time, are there any questions or concerns about that? All right, hearing none, I'll assume that we'll all be in a position to meet December 15th, 12:30, 4th floor, to discuss the vacant seat and what we can do to move forward until such time that we're in a position to put someone in the seat permanently. Is that the way board members understand it at this point?
Yes.
Very good. All right. At this particular time, are there any other comments, concerns from the board before I turn this microphone over to Mr. Alan Clark? Yes, ma'am. Hold on.
Okay. I just wanted to wish everybody happy holidays and a safe New Year coming in. I have some gifts that I'm finna pass down to you because on December 15th, Rachel will be out of town. So I won't be here. So I want to make sure I give it to y'all right now.
You're going to do your thing right now. Okay. Mr. Robertson.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, is the decision on the data center appealable to the city council?
Yes.
So the party that lost today has the burden of making that appeal? Okay, thank you.
Mr. Robertson, good question. Thanks for asking that. Okay. He says, does the company who requested the plant to be built here, can it be appealed to the city council? And the answer is yes. All right, any other comments? Mr. Clark?
Real briefly, Mr. Chair, I guess this is my last time sitting here with you. One last time. It's truly been fun. I have the utmost respect for everybody on this board. You do an incredible job. You're real troopers. You stuck it in today. And today was a painful day. And it's just something about me. The first day when I became the executive director, the meeting had to be canceled. So when I came back from vacation, we couldn't have a meeting. And the last day before this board, we sit here until 6:41. So I think that that's a classical way of going out. And I just say goodbye to you. Thank you for everything you did. I had a wonderful time. And I'll see you later.
I just want to point out.
Hold on, I was just about to bust, I was about to bust the tune, Chris. I'm so glad we had this time together.
Just to have a laugh. Okay. Or two. Oh, okay, well, thank you.
Mr. Clark, I do appreciate your leadership, and since you have expressed how much joy and pleasure it's brought you, I just want to point out you're always welcome to come in the public for every meeting. You know?
I appreciate that.
Okay. I'm sure we'll see you in December, in January.
I appreciate that.
Anyone else? Let's stand up and give him a round of applause. At this time, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
This meeting is adjourned. Ms. Jackson?
Feels awful.